and welcome to round 6 of the 2019 FAB-Racing British Mini Bikes Championship from Wilton Mill here in Daventry. Now we've got some great racing action this weekend, but there's a possibility of some changeable conditions here this weekend. But before we get into all the great racing action here, we had a bit of a walk round in the paddock yesterday and spoke to some of the riders.
On cycles synonymous with winning throughout the seasons gone by. How's 2019 for you so far?
Not too bad. We've had a few issues, but that's racing, so can't really complain. So that's about it really. But I just hope it stays dry today.
And what happens if it stays wet when it's starting to spit now? So if it is a full rain, what do you think might happen with your racing?
Well, it's a bit of a lottery then. It's any levels of field, doesn't it? So anything could happen. Like I say, we have a bit of an issue with water sometimes with this, but it is what it is.
But just to sum up your 2019 season so far, how have you guys gotten on? I know you mentioned a few issues, but you've still been having a tremendous amount of success.
Yeah, like I say, I can't complain. We've had it's racing. We've had a few issues, but you can't win them all, can you? So that's it. But yeah, it is what it is.
Well, best of luck for the weekend.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
So I'm here with Bailey Stewart-Campbell, one of the riders in the Mini GP70 class. Bailey, how are you feeling going into this weekend here at Wilton Mill?
Very good. It's in my local track, so I practice here a lot.
So it's your local track. How far away do you live from the circuit?
About an hour and a half.
So you know the track really well. Are you feeling confident going into this weekend that you might be able to pick up that elusive race win?
Yeah, and apparently in the drier sessions I was the only one in the 50s on not very good tyres.
Yeah, so there's little bits of rain this weekend so far. People say it's quite slippery out there. How are you feeling if it does rain this weekend?
Just try and get behind a lot of people, see how much grip they have, and then just push on from the field.
Now, last time out at Lid, you started 13th in all 3 of the races, but you managed to finish 2nd in 2 of those. How much do you feel like you could have won those 2 races?
A lot. If I'd come 2nd, 3rd row, I would have won all of them, I think.
So do you feel like this could be the weekend that you finally pick it up? Have you got a lot of family here this weekend supporting you on?
I got my mum, dad and my brother.
And how much will that help you going into this weekend?
Quite a lot, yeah.
Bailey, is there anyone else that you would like to say a big hello to that might be watching or listening this weekend?
151's in Clean My Ride.
Bailey Stewart-Campbell, thank you very much for the chat and have a very good weekend.
Nice.
Okay, so I'm here with Eddie O'Shea, one of the contenders for the championship in the Mini GP70 class. Eddie, how are you feeling going into this weekend here at Wilton Mill?
I'm feeling good going into this weekend. It's my home track and it's meant to be wet, and I feel like I can have a good chance of getting a win in the wet.
So you've already had a little bit of wet practice so far this weekend. How is the track conditions when it is wet?
It's known as Slippery Mill. We just went on slicks in the free practice to there, and it was very wet, and it just started raining a little bit, and I hit the deck.
Yeah, you went down with a couple of other riders. Is it just that even in wet conditions, when you've got slicks, or even with wet tyres on, it's just that difficult? Is it the worst circuit in the calendar so far for these wet conditions?
Yeah, I think it is. It's a karting track, and they kart around here a lot, and obviously the karts drift and they lay down rubber, and when the rubber gets wet, it's just so slippy.
Now, you said it's your home rounder here this weekend. How much do you feel like you can get a result and close Evan and of course James down in the championship once again?
Well, obviously me and James are drawing in the championship, so I'm hoping to overtake him this round, and I'm hoping to hunt down Evan.
He's a long way away at the moment, but you can definitely catch him. So there's only a couple more rounds left. What other things you're looking to build upon as the season comes to an end?
I'm hoping to win the championship, but it's a long stretch.
So you're in Mini GP70s this year. What is your plans for 2020 and beyond?
Next year I'm going into the British Talent Cup. Yeah, I'm just going into the British Talent Cup next year.
So we know there's a few of you going up next year. Who are you looking to get ahead of? Who's going to be your closest rivals in the British Talent Cup in 2020?
Well, I've already had a year's head start with the British Talent Cup this year with Dorna. So next year I'm hoping to be the fastest out of the people that are moving up next year, but we'll have to see.
So, home run this weekend. Is there anyone you'd like to say a big hello to, a big thank you to? Friends, family, maybe sponsors?
Yeah, everyone that's helped me get here today.
Eddie, thanks very much for the chat and have a very good weekend.
Thank you.
I'm here with Mini GP70's championship leader, Evan Belford. Evan, we're here at Wilton Mill this weekend. How you feel like the weekend's going so far?
It's going alright, to be honest. I was in the podium positions in free practice, and I'm just going to try and stick to that for the rest of the weekend.
Now, the wind is picked up here at Wilton Mill. There's chances of rain potential this weekend. We've had a little bit of wet conditions so far. How are you feeling in both the dry and wet conditions?
I'm feeling good in the dry, but I just think in the wet, it's just like, look, whoever stays on is just going to win the race.
Yeah, you proved that last round. It's led when it was wet, you managed to stay on. So, the dry conditions, the track is quite grippy, but in the wet it's quite slippery. Where's the problem points in track for you?
I don't know, I think it's like the tight corners when there's hard braking zones in the wet, because if you're braking too hard, you're just going to tuck the front.
And is that a potential hazard for every rider on track this weekend?
Yeah.
So you managed to start off the season with a bit of an injury at round number 1, but you managed to pick yourself back up and you've gone on such a run of wins so far this year. How would you surmise your full season? I know it's got to be good.
Yeah, it's been alright. It's just been really good, to be honest, since the first round, and then I've just been really consistent, trying to gain points on everyone else I'm going for in the championship, and now I've just got to keep getting podiums, taking points off the people that are behind me and get a good gap.
Now you've got James Cook and Eddie O'Shea quite close behind you in the championship, but there's Bailey Stewart Campbell, Ollie Walker. Who so far this weekend has been your main rival to look out for?
I think it's Bailey. He put a really fast lap in on Friday, and I think it's going to be a good race.
So we could have a good 5 or 6 of you up front battling?
For definite.
So what are your plans for 2020 and beyond? Are you staying in the Metro kits or are you moving off to do something else next season?
I'm moving off to BTC, BSB Motostar. I'm going to be riding a Moto 3.
And have you had any practice on the Moto 3 bike so far?
No, because we're picking up at Silverstone GP.
And how much are you looking forward to moving into Moto 3 next season?
Really excited.
And you're hopefully going to take the number 1 spot with you to the Moto 3 next year?
Hopefully.
Now, is there anyone you would like to say a big hello to, friends, family or sponsors ahead of this weekend?
My dad, my mum, my auntie, my 2 little cousins and my sister.
And would you like to give them a wee wave to the camera? Yeah, so thanks very much for your time, Evan. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and hopefully it all goes well.
Thank you.
So I'm here with AC40 Pro reigning champion Mason Foster. Mason, how do you feel like your weekend's going so far here at Wilton Mill?
I think it's gone alright. I mean, we've had the pace, but the thing is today doesn't really matter because it's going to be wet the rest. So, yeah, but it doesn't matter,
So what conditions would you prefer? Would you prefer it to be wet this weekend or would you prefer it to be dry?
I would prefer it to be dry because I think everyone knows that this track is horrendous in the wet. So, yeah, dry.
So you're not just racing in the AC40 Pros this year, you're also racing in the LC40 Elites. How difficult has it been doubling your time out there on the racetrack this year so far?
I done it last year, but not on the LC bike, so it hasn't been much of a difference, but just like adapting to the power and the setup as well.
Which one do you prefer racing the most?
I'd say the LC because it has more power and it's a bit more fun as well.
So you're leading the championship in the pros and you've been embroiled in a fantastic championship battle with Johnny Garness in the LC40 Elites. Summarise your season so far.
I suppose it's been really good because first time on an LC and we're second, so that's alright. And pros, I think it's going really well. Yeah, it's just going really well.
Now, you've been coming through the ranks with Johnny Garness as one of your rivals. How much do you enjoy racing against him for the championship and race wins?
I really enjoy it because I've always got someone to beat and someone to try and push on as well. So it's quite good, yeah.
So you could potentially win the AC40 Pro Championship this weekend. What would be motive? Taking the championship this weekend, or just winning a couple of more last lap battles against Johnny Garnett in the LC40 Elite class?
I think I would do more last lap battles with Johnny, because in the pros I've got quite a big gap, so I don't really need to worry as much. In the LCs, I just want to go out and go for race wins. Well, I basically went up the inside. Johnny hit me, and we both fell off. It was pretty much a racing incident, so.
But you're both still friends?
Yeah.
That's good to hear. Is there anyone that you would like to say hello to ahead of this weekend here at Wilton Mill?
Yeah, hello to all my family, of course, and like all my friends who watch.
Here now, couple last wee things we'd like to ask you. Is there anything else that you will be doing for the rest of 2019?
Yeah, I race in the Italian Championship with Pellini, so yeah.
You've actually got one of those bikes sitting over here. Would you just like to talk us through it?
So basically that bike is Andy Whedon's that he's made, and we're going to race that in Holland for the European Championships.
And how do you feel like that's going to go?
I feel like it's going to go really well. I think the bike's really
So just ahead of qualifying for the Mini F1 sidecars, it's a bit damp out there, but how are you feeling this weekend? How's your season been so far?
Go as fast as I can.
Well, man of a few words. The racing's been pretty frantic out on circuit this year, and you've had your fair share of overtakes and action. Just, what is it like to be racing here at FAB-Racing?
It's a great series, really, for the sidecars, so it's really good.
And looking to Wilton Mill circuit's a popular one with the riders, and on a sidecar I can imagine it's pretty quick.
Yeah, it's alright. It's a bit iffy when it's wet, but some of us like the wet and some of us like it dry, so the other half wet. Got my wife as a passenger this weekend, so we'll just have to see what we can do. Try and go as fast as we can.
Well, best of luck to you both, and hopefully have a great weekend.
Cheers.
So I'm here with Danny Webb, who's here helping James Cook in the Mini GP70s this weekend. Danny, how are you enjoying being at FAB?
Yeah, it's good, I've known Roger for a long time, and I've known Adam and James for quite a while. I helped Max out for a few years in the British Championship, so it's nice to be back and just to see some young talent out there.
Yeah, it's a great championship to be part of. What has been the biggest thing that surprised you being here this weekend?
Just how much more professional it's got, Obviously it was a long time ago when I was doing mini motos and that, and it was just kind of turn up in the car with your dad and off you go, and now it's a lot more professional. We've got some decent sponsors behind the job, so it's a fantastic championship, and it's nice that it's getting some recognition.
Who's been the standout riders for you that you've seen here so far this weekend at Wilton Mill?
To be honest with you, I've not watched any track action yet, but I'm sure I'll have a look. I know Kevin Belford's been going well. I know James has been going well. So it'd be nice just to get out there and have a look and see what riders are doing what.
What advice have you been sort of giving the riders or giving James this weekend?
It's mainly just to stay calm, and just take it as it comes. Especially it's really windy today, so we'll see how they get on in their first qualifying session and kind of go from there. But it's more just the way they mentally prepare themselves before the session and after the session, and not getting too frustrated with the job.
So you're doing quite a lot this season. You're racing on the roads, and I believe in the World Endurance Championship. How's that been so far this season for you?
It's been good, you know. We was up for winning the championship, but unfortunately in Oschersleben we broke down, so the team decided not to go to Suzuka, but I managed to get a ride with Nobby Ueda, so just to get the experience. I've not been to Suzuka, so done that, and we've done a good job out there. So we got Boldor, what's the first round of the championship in September. The classic TT's coming up as well, so yeah, we've got a busy end of the year, but yeah, looking forward to it, you know. And I'm just I'm down here having a look out for some younger riders, because you know, I've got some plans for the future and this coming winter.
Yeah, so some of the riders in Bondi might be one of your teammates.
Well, I don't know. I want to set like an academy up, you know. That's my plan anyway, and just something for the young riders to learn a bit more off track, you know, and a bit more bike skill as well, you know. Maybe doing some flat track and bits and bobs like that. So, and some training as well, just so they know for the future what they have to do and how they have to prepare themselves for a season.
So it's a bit like the VR Academy in a way.
Yeah, I would like to, you know, but unfortunately I haven't got the money of Valentino Rossi, so but you know, I just need to work some things out, work some prices out and bits and bobs, and see where we can do some things, and yeah, and hopefully in the near future I'll be able to announce something.
Well, we look forward to that. So this is basically just a talent scouting weekend for you?
Yeah, it is a bit, yeah. I mean, obviously anyone's welcome, young and old, but yeah, you know, it's mainly aimed at young kids here, going, you know, trying to make the step from Metro kits up to the British Championship or wherever they decide to go.
It's great that a lot of riders like yourself are doing this thing for younger riders. Do you feel like this is something that would have benefited yourself when you were moving up to the 125s when you were younger as well?
Yeah, definitely. And you know, back in my day that wasn't the case. It was from mini motos literally straight to 125. So it's nice. And you know, now we see the likes of Marquez and that doing a lot of flat track riding, and some of the saves he's managing to save, I put it down to the experience on a flat track bike, because I do a fair bit of it now, and I can understand the logic of how it works. So that's kind of why I want to introduce it, and I know a few people who are in the flat track world now. So yeah, it's definitely something that's been missing, you know. Back in the day we used to have the ACU Academy, and now that's not there, so we need something in place.
I can't wait to see what the future holds for the academy, and of course yourself. What's the biggest advice that you could give to the young riders here this weekend at Coolfab?
Just enjoy it. You know, you're at the age where you can enjoy it, and yeah, you've not got any pressure on you to go and make a result to impress the sponsors, you know. But the only pressure you got on is yourself, and okay, maybe your parents, but at this day and age, the parents shouldn't be putting pressure on the kids. They should just be going out there and enjoying their racing and doing the best job they can.
Danny Webb, thank you very much for your time today, and all the best of luck for the rest of 2019.
Brilliant, cheers, thank you.
Cheers, man.
Simon Clowes and Coolfab, a great combination over the last few seasons. Round 6 of the championship already in 2019. It just seems to be flying by this season, doesn't it?
It's very busy this year. It's to say we're in round 6 already, and we're halfway, well, past halfway, with 3 rounds to go, or 2 rounds to go after this, Rower and Tatchell. Yeah, it's all to play for at the top of the championship of a moto team. 2 points to separate me and Will Howarth. Will Howarth unfortunately broke his wrist at the last meeting at Lydd in an Extreme 200 race, so he's not with us this weekend. So I need to make hay while the sun shines, see if I can get some good points on the board to give me a big gap for Rower and Tatchell.
Now, it's cliche, but you say whilst the sun shines, the wind's certainly blowing and the rain's on its way as well. Does that fill you with confidence, knowing it could change at any moment, or is that something you're just sort of thinking, I don't really want this?
I don't really want this. Wilton Mill's one of the slipperiest circuits on the calendar as it is. When it was the weather forecast, I thought to myself, oh no, I can't really be dealing with this. The problem with the weather's changing so much as yesterday, you go out halfway through it, it's torrential, and by the end of the session it's sun shines and the track's dry. So it's a difficult choice on tyres this weekend. Obviously I've got to get the points. I need the points. So any points is better than no points is my philosophy this weekend.
And well, in the sort of Pit Bike 140 and Moto team races this weekend, Brad Raby joins us, the number 28 rider, with his horn. He seems to be smiling away though. Is that?
Yeah,
Thank you very much. So, apart from the fact that Will Howard's not here, then Brad Ray rolls up on a GS6R 125. So, yeah, it's another challenge. I'm sure me and Brad will have a good race if he lets me get anywhere near him. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Just take it as it comes. That's all I can do, isn't it? I can just ride the best I can ride. At Lead, I rode really well, really enjoyed it. Had a fantastic meeting. I need to do the same again at the end of the day.
Well, hopefully we'll do the same again, but you mentioned Wilton Mill, such a slippery circuit. Is it a circuit you really enjoy coming to, or is it one of those ones where you can sort of take it or leave it?
No, I enjoy coming to it if it's dry. It's when it's wet and the weather's a bit inclement, which unfortunately it is this weekend. But Lyd was wet all day Saturday and really enjoyed Saturday and Sunday. So we'll just take it as it comes. We went out in practice this morning. Back end was a bit skippish, so we've made some alterations, see how it's gone in qualifying.
Well, hopefully this win will give you a boost, much like Will Howarth not being here in the championship. Best of luck for the weekend.
Thank you very
much. And one very quick thing, I just saw you pushing a couple of riders into the mini F1 sidecars session. Just tell us a bit more about that.
In a drunken moment, which there is a lot of them on Moto Team, we decided that the girls decided that they wanted to have a go in the sidecar. So we built a sidecar for the girls to have a go in and see what they thought. Went out in it yesterday, enjoyed it. They may not race. We'll see how it goes.
Well, best of luck to them and to you for the weekend, the Clouds Racing Dynasty.
Oh, yeah, and it rolls on. 56 this year, so I've been here a few years and hopefully it'll be a few years more. Thank you.
Well, we hope to have you here for much longer. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm here with Harrison Crosby, who races in the Mini GP 70s and of course the Mini GP 50s. Harrison, we'll start off with the Mini GP 50s first of all. You're second in championship there, you were a long-time championship leader. How are you feeling coming into this weekend here at Wilton Mill?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I like this track and it's quite fast on the straights, but some tight corners which I like, but also Josh and the other riders, Kyle and Lucas, they're also quick here, so it's going to be a challenge, but I'm looking forward to it.
Now there's been a season-long battle between yourself, Josh Bannister, Lucas Brown, Kyle Payne. How much are you relishing the competition with these riders?
Well, it's really tough with all the riders, but I don't know, we just hope to get some points here and the rest of the round and hopefully take back control of the championship.
So you unfortunately lost the championship last time at Leeds. Do you feel like you can reclaim it this weekend?
Yeah, hopefully I can, because I like the track and I don't know, it's just going to be a really good battle and hopefully I can take the top step.
Now there's looking like this weekend might be mixed conditions, dry conditions and wet conditions. How are you feeling like, how do you feel like you're doing in both the conditions this weekend?
So far in the dry I've done good times here in practice, but the wet I also like, and everyone's saying this track's quite slippy, so I'd just like to do a few practices in it, see how I do, but I usually like the wet conditions.
So there might be a chance of you pulling those points back in the wet conditions?
Yeah, hopefully.
So the Mini GP 70s you're racing in this year as well, how big of a difference is it switching from the 50s and the 70s?
It's quite a bit of a difference if you like round a corner, you have to keep the power on more on the 50, and then the 70 you can just go on the throttle and hit a squirt out the bench like straight away.
What do you think suits your riding style a little bit better, the 50s or the 70s?
Probably the 50, because I'm on the power most of the time and it just carries the corner speed better.
So what's your plans for 2020? Are you going to be sticking with the 50s and the 70s, or are you just going to be focusing on the 70s for next season?
Next year I'm going to BSB to ride in the Moto 3 class. Yeah, so I just had my first practice on that and I'm looking forward to that as well.
How does that compare from what you've ridden in the 50s and 70s this season?
It felt quite similar because it's a quicker bike, but I was on a bigger track, so it felt sort of similar, but a lot quicker.
So will it be the standard class, or will it be a Honda, or will it be a KTM you're racing next year?
The Honda in the standard class.
Harrison, thank you very much for your time. Best of luck this weekend and best of luck for 2020.
Thank you.
My name's Jack Walters. I'm on these Mini F1 sidecars. Currently second in championship, so looking to hopefully put a little dent in on first. Other than that, it's all about having fun.
So the Mini F1 sidecars are a very popular championship within the Cool Fab paddocks. A very tight one, of course, these hand-built machines. Sort of, what does that add to the championship when you get to race the machines you get to work on throughout the week?
Like I say, it's handcrafted, and you make it your own. You make it how you want it. You know what I mean? You adapt it to how you want it, and that's how it is. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned you make it how it is. You're into second place, so it's obviously got a bit of a turn of pace. You've had a few good fights with Mick Williams over the last 5 rounds or so in the championship. How's that sort of helped your riding with your passenger, sort of improve yourself and sort of get involved in a bit of a tussle?
It's given us more confidence, and obviously following the guys who are setting the top pace, we learn from them, really. That's about it. Yeah.
And looking at the weather, it's starting to spit quite heavily here. A few riders have mentioned they're not big fans of these Mini F1 sidecars in the wet. Do you look forward to the wet? Do you think it's a good leveller, or is it not something you're that confident in?
Love the wet. We won last time at Lid. Right, I better go.
Well, best of luck for the weekend, mate.
Cheers.
So I'm here with GP70 rider Ollie Walker. Ollie, how are you feeling this weekend here at Wilton Mill?
I'm feeling pretty strong. I've had good results here in the past, so hopefully it should be a good one.
So there's a chance of potential some rain here this weekend, just looking at some of the clouds. How are you feeling in both the wet and dry conditions?
So far this season I'm feeling pretty well in the wet, but this track can be a bit slippy, but just have to deal with it. All the riders have to deal with the same thing, so.
Is there any part on the track particular that's the most difficult?
Probably the through Christmas corner and then the next corner and then the next. It's pretty hard with the gears and stuff like that.
Now, you've picked up a race win so far this season. You've shown lots of potential. Are you feeling like you can pick up another race win here this weekend?
Hopefully, yeah. Looking for a podium, but yeah, could be a race win.
The GP70 class is really tough this season. How do you feel like your personal performance has gone?
Well, I'm feeling pretty well for my first year on a 70 and all that, but hopefully I can get some points and get top 5 in the championship.
You're not too far off it. Now, you're racing in the class this year, which is really tough. Is there any plans of staying in the class next year, potentially going off and do something else in 2020?
Yeah, we're going off to race in Spain next year, hopefully, so that would be good.
What will you be racing in Spain? Will it be Moto3 or the Metro kits once again?
Probably pre-Moto 4.
And have you had any testing out in Spain so far?
I've had one test and it was awesome, it was really quick.
Whereabouts in Spain was it you tested?
Near Valencia.
I know the weather's quite nice there, better than it is this weekend. Now, is there anyone that you'd like to say a big hello to this weekend? Friends, family, sponsors?
Probably my granddad and my nan and granddad who will probably listen in.
Just give them a big wave to the camera.
Hi.
Ollie, thanks very much for your time. Enjoy your weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you very much to Ollie Walker. Thank you very much to Liam Hodgins beside me here this weekend. Thank you for joining us. This is live coverage of Round 6 of the 2019 Cool Fab Racing British Mini Bike Championships. We're here all weekend at the Wilton Mill circuit in Daventry. It's sunny, it's windy, it's been raining over the last few days. We couldn't have had any more mixed condition. Thank you very much for joining us. My name's Dan Marr. Alongside me is Liam Hodgins. Liam, welcome to Wilton Mill. Great circuit here. How have you been enjoying it so far?
I've been enjoying it tremendously well. It's been dry, it's been wet, so it feels like home for me. So yeah, I feel like I've just come over the border and I'm fitting right in here. But the circuit is amazing. It's one of the favourites of a lot of riders, and I can see why. There's a lot of undulation, tight corners, fast flowing sections, and I can feel that there should be a lot of great racing this weekend.
Well, that's certainly the hope we are aiming for, and hopefully you at home are going to be enjoying the action over the next day and a half. Thank you for joining us. This is round 6 of the 2019 Cool Fab Racing British Mini Bike Championships. We're live on the Motorsport Radio website, on the Cool Fab Racing website, and on motorsport.tv. Thank you very much for joining us. We've had some great interviews over the course of this morning. Did get a bit blustery though, you may have been able to hear it just a little bit, so really get a feel for just how windy and difficult this circuit is at the best of times. We're on a slight hill here at Wilton Mill next to a clay pigeon. Of all things, clay pigeon shooting is one of the things this venue has. There's a load of great features here, and there's a load of great features still to come in the championships. We've got the likes of the great battle between Mason Foster and Ethan Sparks. That's just in the AC40 Pros. The likes of Jamie King and Harvey Claridge there fighting tooth and nail in the pit bike 140s. We'll come over a few more of those in a few moments, but let's go through the calendar very quickly. Let's go through the schedule for this afternoon's actions. We're just finalising the rest of the qualifying 2 sessions. Once they're done, we'll be getting underway with the first race of the weekend for the AC40 Pros. The pit bike 140 and moto teams will be the second race of the weekend, followed by the junior LC40 elites. The senior mini motos are fourth on the billing for this weekend. Great to have them a little bit earlier in the schedule than at some rounds. I know the organisers do like to rotate the order around every so often just to get everyone a good time to leave maybe earlier or later, get a bit of a later race. It helps with different conditions, all of which that kind of technical permutation we will go through shortly. Following them though, it will be the mini GP50s. The Extreme 200s will be followed by the Mini F1 sidecars. The AC40 Rookies will be the penultimate race of the day, followed by the Mini GP70s. And well, if that sounds well action-packed, there's loads of stuff going on just today. Don't forget, there's 2 more sets of fantastic races to come tomorrow, much in the same order. So all of our races get 3 races over the course of this weekend. The 6th round of 8 in 2019. 6th round already, Liam. It hardly feels like back in sort of March and April when we'd be getting this championship underway.
I can't believe it's gone past so quickly. Before we know it, it'll be round 8 and we'll be done for the season. I've enjoyed it and I can't believe it's nearly over already. So round 6, every round has had a different sort of piece to the story, and I can't wait to see what this one can add to it. Now, the one that this is going to add is very slippery conditions in the wet, which a lot of the riders that we spoke to in the pre-show talked about, and it's because of the go-karts. There's a lot of go-karting here because the circuit is just fantastic. They've got a lot of different surfaces, a lot of different track layouts, so the go-karts put down a lot of tyre when they slide about. And when the bikes hit the track and it's in the wet conditions, it's a bit like when you watch a Formula 1 type race and they use the outside so they don't hit the tyres. That's why, because it just feels like an ice rink out there. So this is another piece of the puzzle that could go into the 2019 FAB-Racing Championship in all classes. Some of the classes, they've got a large gap in the championship, but then again, anything can happen in bike racing. We know it usually does, and those championships could sway in any direction. So I'm looking forward to it, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen.
Well, we've got 3 sets of races here, 3 sets of races for each category next time out at the Round6 circuit up in Cumbria, and then all of a sudden it's the final round of the season at Tatchell in Lincolnshire. Once again, the second time this season will be the final 3 races for each of our categories. So 9 races left to go. We're getting to the business end of the championship. As you mentioned earlier on in the pre-show, a few of our riders were saying it is getting to that point in the season when they have to be really thinking about how to position themselves, how to sort of set themselves up for championship positions. There could be one championship decided this weekend. That may take a bit of luck on one rider's side, but still, it could be sealed this weekend, which would be unprecedented really for this season, given how close some of the racing is already in 2019. But that just goes to show how much effort and how great those riders are out there when they're able to go out every weekend, smash it, and come here thinking, you know what, I'm going to have a bit of fun because I know I could just roll it out this weekend.
Yes, absolutely. One of those championships we were talking about was AC40 Rookies, and of course Mason Foster could be wrapping up the title this weekend. But as we can see, there's a lot of wind out there. Marshals are pushing away one of the bikes, and not quite sure who that could be, but thankfully we did see the rider up and walking away, so we know they're okay. But as we can see, there's a lot of runoff in some areas of this track here at Wilton Mill, which is great just in case someone does go off and they won't have to hit any barrier. So we're quite happy to see that. But as we can see, there's a lot of crowds out there on the circuit cheering on a lot of the riders. So if you're listening in or you're watching, then of course we can describe what's happening out there on the circuit. It's very windy, very blustery, so fingers crossed it doesn't really get in the way of a lot of the riders out there on the circuit this weekend.
And a great gaggle of team members, family members and riders themselves overviewing the new balcony at Wilton Mill. New for 2019, a brand new sort of cafe and bistro, new race control. It's some great facilities over the seasons here at Wilton Mill. It's really gone a step above even the high standards they set last season. So as a few riders heading over the start-finish line, we're currently in qualifying 2 for the AC40 rookies. And many riders taking this as an opportunity to still get a bit more familiar with the circuit, get au fait with the conditions. The wind, as Liam mentioned just a moment ago, is getting very tricky, but qualifying 2 for the AC40 rookies is currently underway. Just a few moments of this session left to go, then it'll be the Mini GP 70 qualifyings. That'll be the end of the qualifying then, and on to the racing action. But we've got some great views this weekend if you are able to join us on Motorsport Radio, on motorsport.radio, motorsport.tv as well. It'd be great to have you on there where you can see all of the great filming action over the course of this weekend. But thank you for joining us on the cool FAB-Racing website, on motorsport.radio and motorsport.tv, on television and on radio, or live visual radio as we call it. Still plenty of things to enjoy, even if you can only listen away whilst having a cup of tea and reading a paper or magazine. You know, it's what your Saturday afternoons and your Sunday afternoons well are worth for. But qualifying underway, just a few moments to go until the final qualifying session of today, which will be in the Mini GP 70s. And just talk us through, Liam, why do we need to go through 2 different qualifying sessions? What importance does that have?
Well, it sort of helps the riders just bed themselves into the track conditions, because from one session to the next, as we have had so far this weekend, the track conditions may change quite a lot. So if you can potentially get one good lap in qualifying 1, and maybe not even get out for qualifying 2, at least you've got a lap in there that could count towards your qualifying position ahead of the racing this weekend. So there's very tough conditions out there. As we were saying earlier on, that it's very windy, there's clouds blowing in, so we might get some rain this weekend at some point. Maybe not today, but potentially tomorrow. We know that the marshals are struggling out there with the wind blowing as well, of the flags flashing in their face, so it's not too great for them. I'm just glad, Dan, that we're here in the commentary box. A big hello to everyone out there, and well, we can see a lot of people out there enjoying a bit of food, having a bit of a sit down. Not sure if they're out racing later on today, but I think they may be able to hear us as well. So yeah, they look like they're having a bit of lunch there, and hopefully it's quite good, because yeah, just dabbing down their mouth there, so it must have been a good bit of food there, Dan.
Well, it looks like their tents unfortunately are about to blow away. The gales were predicted sort of 50-60 miles an hour at some point over the weekend, so a few of our fans and team members and riders and families all getting a bit blustery out there, which is never good to have if you can't withhold it, if it can get quite cold out there, especially in these heavy winds. But it's something for the riders to contend with, especially in the GP sessions, the Mini GP 70s, which are around next. They're sort of the fastest class in the cool FAB-Racing British Mini Bike Championship paddocks. They are preparing to head out of the assembly area onto the circuit for their final qualifying session of the weekend. And really the wind will give them a good push down. Well, the way the wind's blowing at the moment is it will give them a real boost into turn number 1, but it will really enhance the slipstream effect coming into the final sort of left-right chicane into the final 3 or 4 corners. But a great family-friendly atmosphere here at Cool FAB-Racing. Many of our raters, for the likes of Brad Ray, who BSB race winner and current BSB rider, is here with us this weekend. He came as a junior into these categories here at the Cool FAB-Racing series, grew up really through this paddock and into the British racing scene and international racing scene, of course, with the rider going on to the Suzuki at 8 Hours about 2 weeks ago. The likes of Scott Redding, current BSB Championship leader, who came from this paddock as well. Danny Kent, another rider. We've had so many great riders over the course of the last sort of years and years gone by in order to enjoy their racing and go on to great success nationally, internationally. And some of their sort of brothers, sisters, cousins, they all get involved in this action as well. So it's great to really have as we mentioned, a great family-friendly atmosphere here at Coolfab.
It is indeed, and we've also got the likes of Danny Webb here this weekend, ex-125 GP racer, and I don't know if you know this, but he was the last ever 125 two-stroke pole position setter back at Valencia in 2011, so a bit of a star here this weekend. He's out there helping James Cook in the Mini GP 70s, but it's great to have these role models come down to Coolfab and show these kids of how you can get there in the future, and of course you can go up, talk to these riders, find out how they managed to get where they are, and potentially, we've got a bit of an incident out there on the track there. It was just coming out the hairpin. Rider is up and okay. It looks like the seat unit from the rear has come off there. Or was that the fuel tank? Yes, it was a fuel tank, but the marshal's running over and pushing the bike away. But it's great to see that the rider's up and okay, although he does punch the ground in a bit of anger.
Not happy there at all, and unfortunately for that particular rider, we're not sure who it is, but they are up and fine. They're just getting ready to try and take the bike back, get it repaired ahead of the first race at around 5 minutes past 5 this afternoon. That'll be the final race of today. Bailey Stewart Campbell, only one flying lap so far, so no real representative times set so far, and you'll see and hear over the course of the weekend a few of these riders running very BSB style leathers and colours on their bikes. We've got the Anvil Hire machine, liveried machine, and the number 14 of Finn Smart. Finn having a bit of injury in the last few meetings, but coming back, really getting back into the rhythm of racing. We had Finn in the commentary box earlier in the season up with us, and it was great to have Finn's insights. But as the riders continue around, it's currently Bailey Stewart Campbell with the fastest lap, 51.197. Still time in the session to set time, so by no means a real representative push out there.
Yeah, Bailey Stewart Campbell, it's his home circuit this weekend here in Leeds, so he's had a bit of practice on the track over the last few weeks, but it was great to talk to him earlier on in the weekend. Very quick rider. He's not had a race win so far this year, but he's been setting a lot of fastest laps and of course lap records. So Bailey Stewart Campbell, watch out for him on the 99 bike, and you can probably guess who his favourite rider in the world is with the number 99. It is of course Jorge Lorenzo, who races in MotoGP on the Repsol Honda bike, so he'll be hoping to emulate his Spanish hero here this weekend. Unfortunately, the weather won't be quite as good as it would be out there in Spain, but nonetheless it definitely won't dampen Bailey Stewart Campbell's enthusiasm if he picks up a couple of race wins, or at least one race win here this weekend. But he did have a great fight through the field from 13th to 2nd in races 2 and 3 at Leeds last time out, so watch out and listen out for Bailey Stewart Campbell. Great start for the future.
Well, Bailey, you mentioned he's a great start for the future. Had some good success at Wilton Mill here last season as well. Was leading for a good few laps in the Mini GP 50s last season. A few of the riders bouncing around the curbs. It might be quite a undulating circuit. There are a few big bumps, especially with the amount of sessions that go on for karting as well as mini bike racing and testing. It really does sort of hammer this tarmac at this circuit, which makes it a real challenging track. Think a bit like Silverstone when the riders in the senior classes were sort of complaining that there were so many bumps and vibrations in the ground. This circuit's a little bit like that in terms of how much is used, but with 4 minutes and 17 of this session gone, we've got about 6 minutes to go before the start of racing will get underway in earnest. Bailey Stewart Campbell dropping down to a 50.7, so having made up a good few tense riders coming over, the likes of the number 57 of Johnny Garness, currently running in 4th in this session, has got Evan Belford behind. Belford using a bit of a slipstream, try and get a good toe through the corners, especially with this headwind they're heading into the chicane. That can gain you so much time when you get really lined up well. It's a tight technical circuit, Wilton Mill, lots of overtaking opportunities, but you do have to think about it, you have to plan, because you can't just make an all-out move and hope it'll stick. A few of our riders, especially in the pit bike categories last year, found that out to their avail, and it's going to be a bit of a challenging one for the riders this weekend, man.
Yes, Dan, you've had a bit of experience at this circuit, of course, last year, so you know exactly where to look out for the best overtaking opportunities. But I found out this weekend that you do, as you said, have to look out for or set up a pass, not just a few corners before, but potentially a lap before you actually make the move. Study the rider in front, and then you can see where they're strong, where they're weak, and vice versa for yourself. But this weekend is a big weekend for Evan Belford, the number 52 rider with the yellow rimmed wheels. It's 34 points ahead of James Cook and Eddie O'Shea. James Cook had a bit of a nightmare last time out at Lid, crashed out of the lead in both the first two races and lost a lot of championship points. Eddie O'Shea, by contrast, had a very good weekend, the best one he's had for some time. Picked up a second place in race 1 and of course won race number 3. So Eddie O'Shea only 34 points behind Evan Belford, tying on points with James Cook. The 114, which I found out this week, he's actually a big fan of Top Gun the movie, and 114 is the number of the bike or of the plane that Tom Cruise flies in or pilots in the film. So yeah, that's why he runs the 114. So he's a big Maverick fan in Top Gun. I've never seen the film myself, but I thought that was quite an experience to find out.
We're finding some quite interesting facts out. I didn't realise that about Eddie O'Shea. And of course you mentioned about the Danny Webb as well, being the last ever pole sitter on a 125 two-stroke engine. Well, most of the bikes around the cool FAB-Racing paddocks also two-strokes, so very familiar nature to the rider. So there's a lot of very interesting but tenuous connections here, isn't there? Mind you, not too much tenuous to go in this session. A few moments to go. The number 8 rider of Alfie Davidson just running a little bit wide just to let a few riders go through. Heading on to another fast lap. But Bailey Stewart Campbell still fastest with a 50.523. Evan Belford briefly heads up to second now, just a few tenths off with a 50.7, and a 50.8 is the fastest time for Eddie O'Shea, the rider involved with the British Talent Cup, which is changing thanks to your excellent interview with Roger Keys last time out. Liam is all changing the British Talent Cup for 2020, and of course we are on the road to MotoGP. We are the official partner series to the Bennett's British Superbike Championship, so loads of great connections here in this paddock for many an aspiring junior rider to head on to great careers nationally or even internationally in their life. We've had it many times before with some of our riders, and we're hoping we're going to have a few more of them on this grid maybe. Bailey Stewart Campbell though, enjoying a great run at the moment. 50.5 still the fastest lap in this session. The number 99 ahead of the number 52 of Evan Belford, and the 114 of Maverick Eddie O'Shea. Let's try and start something here. Let's call him.
I think we should. He's also got a bit of a nickname on his bike. It's Go Eddie Go. So,
Go Eddie Go.
Yeah, it's something down those lines as well. So we'll have to find out Eddie later on and confirm that one. But he's got a couple of wee sort of post-it notes on his bike, wee stickers that he likes to have a bit of fun with. But yeah, so Eddie O'Shea out there, not looking like he's getting in some good laps until the very end of the session, where he just put himself up to third spot in the 114. The Maverick is there. Ryan Hitchcock on the bike 43. He's been showing a lot of promise in the last few rounds. He's now fourth in the session as the checkered flag is waving. Johnny Garness on bike number 57. 2 podium positions so far in the Mini GP 70 class this season. He's just finished his last run. He comes across line. Will stay fifth for the moment. But Evan Belford is now taking pole position, the fastest rider of the session. Took it on his last flying lap. 0.046 seconds ahead of Bailey Stewart Campbell. So the number 52 on the black bike with the yellow wheels is taking pole position for today's, or this weekend's event. Bailey Stewart Campbell on the 99 bike will start second. Eddie O'Shea still in third, but waiting for Ryan Hitchcock to come across the line, which he will do. So now, can he improve? No, he doesn't. He stays in fourth position. Johnny Garness will be in fifth. Ollie Walker on his last lap just comes across the line now in sixth. James Cook in seventh, so he was in third spot for most of that session. He's dropped down to seventh. Kyle Payne in eighth on the number 25, ahead of Owen Mellor and Thomas Gomez rounding out the top 10. Alfie Davidson just misses out on the top 10 positions. Dylan Mellor on the bike number 31 and 12th. Finn Smart, who's recovering after a nasty broken leg earlier on in the season, joined us in the commentary box for Lids last time out, so it was great to see him standing up and talking to us. He will be 13th ahead of Harrison Crosby on 69 and Carter Brown on bike number 37. So some great results there from some riders that they are coming back from injury, and of course just getting used to the Mini GP 70 class, Dan.
Well, getting used to it can take some time. The premier class, the fastest class at the cool FAB-Racing British Mini Bike Championship in the paddock. They will head back to the paddock for a quick rest and ready to go racing later on this afternoon, and we get ready to go racing in just a few moments time. Thank you for joining us This is live coverage of round 6 of the 2019 FAB-Racing British Mini Bike Championships. We're live at the Wilton Mill circuit in Daventry. Thank you for tuning in on the Motorsport Radio website, on the FAB-Racing websites as well, and on Motorsport TV. Thank you for joining us. Great to have you here with us for the racing action this afternoon. We'll be starting in just a few moments' time with the AC40 Pros, our first class of the weekend. Just a reminder of the order: the AC40 Pros are the first racers of the weekend. They'll be followed by the Pit Bike 140 and Moto teams. Two great classes in one fantastic race, dicing away. Some of them you can challenge the Moto team riders, sometimes even challenge for the overall victories, despite a slight deficit in the power and the sheer torque out of these corners. Could be a bit of a challenge here at the Wilton Mill circuit, but as we continue on, the Junior LC40 Elites will be third in the running order, followed by the Senior Mini Motos, the Mini GP50s, the Extreme 200s will follow, followed by the Mini F1 sidecars, the AC40 Rookies, and then finally, and that's finally for today I say, is the Mini GP70s. One set of races today, two more sets of races to come tomorrow, so really there's no excuse. You can't miss any of the action here this weekend, and even if you do, head back over to motorsport.radio. We've got a full guide of the 2019 season to date on radio, some rounds, visual radio as well. You can also head over to motorsport.tv for a bit of an archive. Thank you for joining us though. I'm Dan Marr, alongside me is Liam Hodgins. Liam, great racing over the last 5 rounds. This is now where the championships start to get serious, start to be decided. It takes a slightly different mentality for the riders to go racing out for points rather than pole positions and wins, doesn't it?
It does indeed, because you've got a championship to protect now if you're leading it, or if you're embroiled in a big battle that some of these riders are in each of the classes. For example, the Mini GP70s and of course the AC40 Rookies, just a couple of classes to mention there, the Mini GP50s as well. They want to go for the wins, but sometimes you've just got to rein it back that 0.5% so you don't push just over the limit too much, because if you do that then you could go down, you could potentially break the bike. Whatever happens, you might lose some championship points, so you've got to definitely just think about the championship if you're in that battle there. So as we can see, the riders make the way around the track there. We've got Dan Marr with the grid.
Well, as the riders head over to the grid, this will be heading up to the green flag lap, so riders getting that final knowledge of the circuit before the final lap before the race starts. But it will be for the first race of the weekend. Mason Foster on pole position, the number 88 rider, ahead of Clayton Edmonds. Ethan Sparks and Samuel Munson are on row 2, with Henry McCartney and Charlie Huntingford on row 3. Blake Wilson, Finn and Werity, Luke Schofield and Greg Marshall round out the top 10, with Holly Harris and Max Werity on row 6. Warwick Brady and Jacob Stevenson, that is your 7th row of the grid. And as they make their way up to the dummy grid, this will be the lap before the race gets underway, so we've got a bit of anticipation to go before the race starts. And as we are about to head on to the first race of the weekend, the AC40 Pros, just as a reminder, the lap record here set last season was a 54.872. That was set by Johnny Garness with a 54.872. Rider who set the fastest lap, the record lap time here in the AC40 Rookies, that was Sam Munson with a 1 minute 0.627. But the riders look towards the start lights for the first time this weekend. Round 6 of the 2019 FAB-Racing British Mini Bike Championships get underway. There's a bit of a roll from a couple of riders heading over the line for the first time. It's a 9-lap race in prospect for the AC40 Pros. A good start by everyone as they make their way through the first few corners cleanly. Heading up towards Christmas Bend, the tight right-hander, which can have some great overtaking opportunities. They head through the wind, through the dust. There's loads of atmospheric conditions affecting them, and they're pushing hard on this first lap out of 9.
Yes, as they go round the rest of lap number 1, we've got Mason Foster still in the lead of this race. The wind out there on circuit doesn't look like it's pushing them off the circuit, which is great to see and listen to, because obviously we don't want anyone going off the track. But Samuel Munson got a great start, and it looks like he might be into second place, just ahead of the 146 of Clayton Edmonds. But as the riders make their way through the final corner, they'll come across the rumble strip and on to the start-finish straight now. Warwick Brady further back there, just ahead of a couple of the riders. Great start there from the number 99 of Warwick Brady, but it's Mason Foster with a 1.3 second advantage over Samuel Munson and Ethan Sparks. Ethan Sparks looking up the inside of Munson, just having a little look at the moment, maybe trying to square him off through the right, left, right as they head down towards the hairpin section. We'll look up the inside, it's going to be Ethan Sparks. Munson just later on the brakes than Sparks on number 62.
Well, as you mentioned, the number 62 rider, he's going for it, but he's giving Munson a bit of a size up. He wants to feel where he can overtake into the infield section. Two left-handers, they're quite long, they're quite arduous. You can struggle to overtake there, but with a good toe into the inside, up the inside at the final penultimate corners, Ethan Sparks makes a great move into that section of the circuit. Samuel Munson down to third place. Clayton Edmonds is fourth. Henry McCartney is fifth. Mason Foster, though, has absolutely run away with this so far. 2.5 seconds ahead of Ethan Sparks. Now in second place, holding off from Sam Munson, Clayton Edmonds and Henry McCartney. It's a 4-bike battle for second place. Clayton Edmonds having a think about Samuel Munson. He looks over his right shoulder, does Munson. Right, left, right again, heading towards the second hairpin on this circuit and defending hard. But Foster, Sparks, Munson, Edmonds, that's your top four. McCartney, Werity, Huntingford, Wilson, Brady and Schofield. That is your top 10 so far.
Yes, looks like Mason Foster is just edging away little by little. There was a bit of a moment there from Munson as he went over the curb, as he went flicked from left to right. That might just give Edmonds a bit of a chance. Smells a little bit of the blood as Munson is already making some mistakes earlier on in this race. But watch out for Henry McCartney, who's fifth in this group here, just sizing up the opposition, as it looks like Ethan Sparks is just pulling away in second place. So the battle out on track for the top positions is third, fourth and fifth. This is a great section, but it's Clayton Edmonds up the inside of Munson, late on the brakes. He's done it, he's into third as he head towards the tight hairpin at the top end of the circuit. The flick it left once again. Can Munson get a run back on Edmonds? Bit of a movement for both riders. Edmonds nearly ran off the track there. Munson still sticks in behind the 146 rider of Clayton Edmonds. Henry McCartney might see this opportunity now to move ahead of the 72 into fourth.
Well, that battle for third and fourth place raging on. A few riders a little further back in the order having a great battle as well, with Max Werity and Jacob Stevenson fighting away into 7 and 8. We've got the likes of Wilson and Brady fighting away for 8th and 9th as well. Blake Wilson and Warwick Brady having another great scrap in this race through up towards the final few corners and into the chicane. The number 64 rider, Luke Schofield, running in 10th at the moment, challenging for 9th on the number 99 rider of Warwick Brady. Thinking of ice cream, maybe not this early in the race. 4 laps done, we're on to the 5th lap, 5 laps to go. So 9-lap race. Mason Foster off and away. 3.7 seconds now ahead of Ethan Sparks, but Clayton Edmonds up ahead of Samuel Munson. Munson losing another position on that lap. It's also a challenge from Luke Schofield, really trying to make his way past Warwick Brady. Can he quite make the move? Doesn't seem to be heading up to Christmas Corner on that particular lap, but the battle for second place once again raging on it. Ethan Sparks in second, third for Clayton Edmonds. Edmonds has had a great run in this race already. Can he make another position, get onto that second place on the rostrum?
I was about to say it looks like Ethan Sparks might have been pegging Munson for the lead, but then again I'm completely wrong, because Clayton Edmonds has pulled back Ethan Sparks in second and brought with him Samuel Munson and Henry McCartney. So these four are embroiled in a battle for second position as they head towards the top end of the circuit, the furthest away circuit from the main paddock, and it looks like they might have broken Samuel Munson ever so slightly. It's Sparks 62 and then it's Clayton Edmonds 146. Edmonds is using a lot of the circuit as they come through the right, left, right section of the circuit just after Christmas Corner, powering down towards the double left-hander. we can see it looks like Sparks just opens up a little bit of an advantage as we've got 4 laps to go. Who can take this second podium position? It looks like Munson is off and running at the top end of the field, but if we see that Munson might actually look like he's coming off the bike, don't worry, he's not. Every time he goes through one of the corners, he just sticks his left leg out just ever so slightly. I don't know if he gets cramp on the bike, but whatever it could be, he's just looking relaxed. 4.7 seconds ahead of the battle between Sparks and Edmonds.
Whichever way the riders can really get the bikes to turn, get that comfort aboard the machines to really rotate the vehicle, that's where the confidence comes in. But Henry McCartney resuming his duel with Samuel Munson, that's for 4th place. As you just mentioned, Liam, that battle between Sparks and Edmonds for 2nd and 3rd. Edmonds looks to the right hand side of the circuit into the right-handed hairpin. That's the 2nd hairpin on the course before the infield section, using all of the road and more, trying to find a way, making it through. Munson still defending from McCartney. McCartney runs a little deep on the first part of the second left-hander, can't make it on the third. The side-by-side heading into the chicane. It's left and right, the penultimate section of this course. And as they make their way through, once again, we've only got 2 laps to go now. Munson's not got long to defend, but he's not got long to lose his position either. Mason Foster has got the fastest lap. It's a 56.996. He's 4.5 seconds up the road. Ethan Sparks is still in second, just 0.3 of a second ahead of Clayton Edmonds. 4th is Munson, 5th is McCartney. That's still your top 5, with Finn and Werity in 7th place. It's actually no, 6th place for Finn and Werity. Charlie Huntingford in 7th, ahead of Blake Wilson and Mike Brady. Luke Schofield and Holly Harris. That's followed by Greg Marshall, Max Werity and Jacob Stevenson. And Charlie Huntingford losing out a couple of positions on that last lap. Not quite sure what he's done then, but always losing out another position was Ethan Sparks. Absolute nose to tail between himself and Clayton Edmonds. Edmonds all right up the back into the chicane for the penultimate time. Mason Foster starts his final lap of this race already. The 2 second and third place riders over the line now. This is the final lap to make that decisive change.
Race 1 of the AC40 Pros. Who will it be for second? Will it be Sparks? Will it be Edmonds? As it powering on up to the furthest away section of the track, it's Christmas corner and the trees are definitely blowing there. A little bit of a look up the inside from Edmonds, but not making it stick. Mason Foster just making his way through the back markers. Nice easy ride for the number 88 of Mason Foster, but keeping an eye on the battle for second. Ethan Sparks still holds it from Edmonds. Only a few more corners to go for Sparks and Edmonds. Can Edmonds power past the 62? Can McCartney in 5th power past Munson? Oh, that's a shame for Warwick Grady, who stopped at the end of the final lap of the AC40 Pros here. But a couple more corners to go for your championship leader. Mason Foster on the number 88 powers round the final corner over the rumble strip, coming across the start finish line. Mason Foster takes the checkered flag. Who will it be for second? Will it be Sparks? Yes, it will. The 62 just holds off Clayton Edmonds for second. Edmonds, valiant effort for 3rd spot. Henry McCartney did mug Munson on the final lap and got 4th spot, and Munson on the 72 had a great start, managed to finish 5th, Dan.
Well, that is a fantastic run to the line by Sparks and Edmonds, but Mason Foster, your winner of the first race of the weekend. A few riders still to take the checkered flag as Lee Clowes waves the checkered flag once again. Mason Foster, your race winner here ahead of Ethan Sparks. Clayton Edmonds 3rd. Henry McCartney was 4th ahead of Finn and Werity. Blake Wilson and Luke Schofield 6th and 7th ahead of Holly Harris. I'm not sure what's happened to Samuel Munson. Run to our timing screens, but it was ahead of Greg Marshall and Charlie Huntingford. Then it was the number 72. In fact, yes, confirmation on our screens. Thank you if you're tuning into our visual radio stream. If not, it was the number 72 was Samuel Munson, who dramatically stopped on that last lap of the race. Rider is up and okay, no indication he went down. It could be that it just ran out of fuel right at the very end of that race, but a few riders high-fiving their fellow competitors in the paddock as they make their way back to their awnings. Number 72 out of performance, out of this race right at the very end, ended up in 11th place, promoting Charlie Huntingford to 10th, Greg Marshall up to 9th, so Greg may not be too displeased with that 9th place. Holly Harris in 8th and Luke Schofield in 7th, but Blake Wilson in 6th. But what a dramatic start to the weekend. The first race of the weekend. Samuel Munson, slightly frustrated, kicks the tyre, not happy at all. So Samuel Munson is not best pleased with that at all. And well, really, Liam, can you blame him?
Definitely can't blame him at all. These riders put so much effort into practice, into qualifying, and of course in the racing, and to go down in the final lap, that's of course if he did go down. It's sometimes even worse if it's a bike stoppage, because there's nothing you can do about that. At least if it was yourself that went down, you can at least say to yourself, right, I know what I've done wrong and I won't do it again for the next race. So it's a shame, but we had a great battle for 2nd and 3rd, and a great battle between Max Finnenwerte and of course Samuel Munson for 4th and 5th.
Well, a great battle in the AC40 Pros. The Pit Bike 140 and Moto team riders, they head out for their first race of the weekend, and it's, well, won't spoil the grid too much, but we've certainly got some great talents up at the very top and all the way through this field. It's going to be a long race, it's going to be a technical race, and the first race of the weekend for the Pit Bike 140 and Moto team riders, they're on their green flag lap. We'll head now to Liam Hodgins with the grid.
Thank you very much, Dan. So it's going to be BSB rider Brad Ray on the number 28, setting a 54.454, starting from pole position on his 23-strong grid, ahead of your championship leader on bike number 76, Jamie King, who qualified at 55.9. 100 of John Petit will be starting in 3rd spot, just ahead of the 0 of Bernie Hook. Rob Petit on number 5 will be heading off row number 3, ahead of Callum Wybrow. Ian Jackson next up on bike number 7 and 7th spot, ahead of Henry Majus on bike number 55. Kevin Gritton will be starting in 9th, ahead of Jack Andrews, who will round out the top 10 on the Pit Bike 140 and Moto team grid. Simon Clowes, who's 2 points behind the championship leader of Will Howarth of the 133, will be heading from 11th on the grid. Now Will Howarth will be missing this weekend's action, so some important points potential for Simon Clowes to claw back. Daniel Gilbert in 12th, ahead of Alistair Kinnaird in 13th. Neil Kinnaird is next up in 14th position, ahead of Vince Bailey on the 369 bike. Ben O'Keefe will be in 16th, ahead of Sean Whittaker. Harrison O'Keefe in 18th, ahead of Tony Campana in 19th. Greg Pym in 20th. And then Fraser Kinnaird 21st, ahead of Mark Pratley in 22nd, and Gary O'Keefe running out runners and riders in 23rd, Dan.
23 riders start this race. How many will finish this race? Only time will tell. More specifically, the next 12 laps in your life. So thank you for joining us. Live coverage on the cool FAB-Racing website, on Motorsport Radio and on Motorsport TV. Round 6 of the cool FAB-Racing British Minibike Championships. The Pit Bike 140 and Moto team riders get underway now. It's a good start by Brad Ray, heading into the first corner for the first time. Jamie King is slotted very nicely into 2nd place. We'll just follow the number 28 rider. Just about looks like everyone's made it through the first few corners cleanly. Into Christmas Curve, it's an uphill run into the right-handed hairpin. Then you go left, right, left again a bit, because it's such a bumpy, tight section of the circuit, into a following hairpin. The hairpin's a very tight one. It's a very tight technical circuit, the Wilton Mill one in Daventry. The wind has pretty much stopped now, so these riders aren't going to be getting the resistance heading into the back straight, but equally they're not going to be getting the push out of the final corner, which is going to be helped to Brad Ray, who's already started to gap Jamie King, only slightly, only by a machine length or so, but that is crucially what you need. And speaking of crucially, so far Simon Clowes leads the Moto team category. So there's 2 categories in this race, the Pit Bike 140s and the Moto teams. Moto teams, Will Howarth is leading that championship by 2 points ahead of Simon Clowes, but as Liam mentioned, and Simon Clowes did in the pre-show, sadly Will is not here with an injured wrist. We do hope you get very well very soon. Will, it would be great to have you back out very soon. But Simon is in prime position to score brilliant championship points, and so far he's doing a good job of that on this first lap. But lots of overtaking going down the field. Ray, King and Hook, that's your top 3, Liam.
There's also another championship battle we need to talk about. That's the Pit Bike 140s with Jamie King leading Harvey Cloud. Now Harvey will not be here this weekend to pick up some points, as he had a bit of a nightmare at Lead after he picked up his first race win in the Pit Big 140. So he's been told by his parents not to come down this weekend, just focus on the BTC. So fortunately we won't have Harvey Clyde here this weekend, but we've got a rider stopped out on track. That looks like it's the number 62 trying to pick up some pieces of his
Is it Callum
bike.
Wybrow?
So yes, it could be Callum Wybrow, but it's the 62, so we'll just have to wait to see who that could be. It looks like it might be Harrison O'Keefe. The Harrison O'Keefe on the 62 has stopped out there on circuit. Not sure if it was an incident or the bike just stopped. But we've got a great battle on track between Bernie Hook, John Petit and Rob Petit for 3rd, 4th and 5th position. It looks like one of them has just pulled away ever so slightly from the pursuing battle, but Bernie Hook on the zero bike is embroiled always in a lot of fights out there on the circuit, whatever round we ever go to, Dan.
But then we're coming into turn number 6, about to overtake each other. Now you can't be doing that there, lads, because there's a yellow flag out there. You've got to be careful with that yellow flag. That could get you into a lot of trouble, and thanks to the brand new facilities we've got at Wilton Mill, there's a brand spanking new very open glass window in the race control, so they'll be able to see any misdemeanors should you be making them. But Brad Ray off into the distance so far, 2 seconds after 3 laps ahead of Jamie King with a 53.369. Yellow flag going out there, someone seemingly pointing at Brad Ray. I'm saying I'm first. He's trying to contest, but Jamie King in second. John Petit is ahead of Rob Petit now, so the Petit's fighting away. Bernie's a bit hooked in all of this battle. He's in 5th at the moment ahead of Callum Wybrow. Henry Midjuice and Ian Jackson's your top 8 ahead of Jack Andrews and Simon Clowes. Simon still leading the Moto Team concern by 1.7 seconds, so pretty comfortable on the top step of the Moto Team class. Battle with Bernie Hook and Callum Wybrow, so Callum well and truly still in this race. Into the chicane, left, then right. You've got to really hustle the bike over, use all of your weight to get it over, rotate the bike round with the masses of torque, riding all the way out on the concrete run out of the final corner. That's a bit of a tricky line now, because you can't even say you were riding the curb. You were so far away, he was in a different postcode. Heading into Christmas corner once more, no challenge for that position so far.
Is that allowed, running that far off the
Probably
circuit?
not, no.
I was thinking there might be about a 2-second penalty picked up, but this is in Formula 1. It's the Pit Big 140s and Moto Team, and Brad Ray still leads the race by 2.3 seconds, so it's come down ever so slightly on the last lap, Dan.
Well, you mentioned that wouldn't be not Formula 1. Well, he might have been trying to go for his long lap, but successfully doing it badly because he didn't let off any time at all. But as you mentioned, Brad Ray just starting to be closed in. Not too much though, but it's 2.197 now, about a tenth and a half quicker Jamie King was on that last lap. Maybe Brad's being relatively sensible and thinking, well, I'm not fighting too much at the moment. There's not too much going on, so you know, I don't need to push that hard, but it is Brad Ray and Jamie King. That's your top 2. John Petit ahead of Rob Petit, that's 3rd and 4th. 5th and 6th is still Bernie Hook and Callum Wybrow. Callum dropping back slightly. The battle that's great going on at the moment is between the Petits. John ahead of Rob. This is the battle for 3rd and 4th. They're making their way into turns 7 and 8, right on top of each other. Very similar coloured bikes, red, black with a bit of white on it. Very similar coloured leathers as well, a bit of white, black and red on there as well. We're at the halfway distance, lap 6 at the moment, and the 2 family members, 108, catching up to a few members of traffic as well. They're getting caught up, one goes one way, one goes the other, up the inside of the final corner. They make it through safely. Bradley Ray though is being caught up with a fair rate of knots, it's fair to say.
They might be petite in name, but they're definitely large in the bikes there, and of course there's a lot at stake as they head up towards Christmas corner, and we can just sort of see maybe some spots of rain as the Petites head away around the circuit. And of course this weekend been very slippery, and the Pit Big 140s on slick tyres have been struggling out there on circuit, so fingers crossed the rain can stay away and we won't have any incidents. But Rob Petit definitely lining up John on the bike 100 as they go through the double left-hander, flicking it over to the right. It looks like Rob just gets the bike turned over ever so slightly as it looks over his shoulder a lot bit better than his brother John. Coming through the final 2 corners, the battle for 3rd and 4th is a lot at stake here, and I can imagine there'll be a lot of pride in this battle as well, Dan.
Mammoth amount of pride, especially between family members. You're not going to be wanting to discuss this over the dinner table tonight. when you manage to get a podium in your mate has. But third and fourth battle still raging on between John and Rob Petit, passing another racer in this particular session up the inside at Christmas corner. And Josh Petit's really able to bounce the bike around a bit more. It's a bit more stable under the brakes, can manoeuvre it slightly better. Rob just seems to have the raw speed right up the inside at turn number 6. They make their way around someone else in this race though, side by side. The number 8 finally gets the move made. Rob Petit into third place. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, up the inside at turn number 6. He didn't have to look a gift horse in the mouth there.
He didn't indeed. It was a very opportunistic move from Rob to take advantage of the back marker through the tight hairpin down towards the bottom end of the circuit. So John Petit is now chasing Rob. It was the other way around, but great run out of the final corner by John up the inside into the turn 1. That was opportunistic and it didn't do it. But we've got Rob Petit still in the top of this battle. John up the inside into Christmas corner, who will be later on the brakes, nearly touching elbows as they go up towards Christmas corner. Great pass there from John Petit on 100 to take third position back from Rob.
Well, Rob opened his present maybe a lap too early. He did make the move, couldn't make it stick on that last few corners. They have no other back markers or anyone else in this particular battle for the moment, so they're back to scrapping between each other. But Brad Ray is coming under increased pressure now. His last lap was a 54.1. Jamie King's last lap was his fastest, 53.6. The gap's now to 1.60 as we've got 3 laps to go. 1.3 seconds now between Ray and King. The battle's starting to close up. Brad's going to have to start getting his finger out a bit, you fear, because he could come under attack in the next few moments. But it's 28 ahead of 76. John Petit back ahead of Rob Petit, confirmed on our screen, with Bernie Hook in 5th place. Ray, though, through the halfway stage in this lap, over the curb, and he's got 2.5 laps to go. And, well, he's certainly doing a good ride so far.
I would like to draw your attention to the battle further back between Simon Clowes and Jack Andrews. Simon Clowes has become under a little bit of pressure from Jack Andrews over the last few laps. The Moto team riders still embroiled in a battle with the Pit Bike 140s, and this is great for Simon Clowes' championship credentials as he will be picking up important points. But it looks like we've got a move for third. It's Rob Petit back up the inside of John through the left and the right. Couple of corners to go. Are they just having a bit too much fun out there, or was that a bit of a move from Rob Petit, showing that he's just got a bit more pace than John with a couple of more laps remaining?
Well, he has only got 2 laps remaining. He's got to hold it stick, but the trouble is they've got a few other riders in this race. He's side by side with John on Ryder's right hand side up to the inside at Christmas corner. They go past another rider, and John Petit is back through once again. Brad Ray's also responded to my comments just a few moments ago. He's increased the gap for the race lead now. Is not going to be coming under any pressure at all. But the battle between the Petits is not over. It's not too long to go, but Brad Ray has got just a few moments to go until another victory in motorcycle racing. Many riders coming right over the line, and the final lap board now being displayed. 1 lap to go. 1.4 seconds is the gap between Brad Ray and Jamie King. The number 28 hasn't got long to go, and he's also got a lot of other riders to get past before he can get that win ahead of Jamie King. And Jamie King is closing. He's closing up. The number 76 rider's got half a lap to go in order to get past the number 28 of Bradley Ray.
This is great news for Jamie King as Brad Ray might get tangled up with the back markers with half a lap remaining, but there's only going to be 3 more corners for the number 28 as they come through the left and then flick it back over to the right. The British Superbike racer for Suzuki is getting closed down ever so slightly by your championship leader Jamie King. 2 corners to go from left to right. Jamie King looking past the back marker, can't make it stick. Brad Ray looks up over his shoulder. Does he know that Jamie King is that close? But it doesn't matter now. Brad Ray across the start finish line to pick up the Pit Bike 140 and Moto Team race number 1, just 1 second ahead of Jamie King on bike number 76. But who will it be for third position out of the Petites? Will it be John or will it be Rob? The 100 ahead of the 8. It's Rob Petit who takes it on the final lap. The number 8 just beats the 100. What a race there between the 2 Petites. As we said, Dan, a large battle going on between those 2, and great for the series as well. The number 0 of Bernie Hook comes across the line in 5th. Callum Wybrow just holds off Ian Jackson and Henry Meduse, but we're waiting for Simon Klaus to come across the finish line any second now to pick up the win for the motor team class, Dan.
So, Brad Ray, the number 28 race winner once again here at the Cool Fab Racing British Minibike Championships. The number 28 winning in fine style ahead of Jamie King. It got a bit hand in mouth right at the end of that race, but Jamie King second and Rob Petit just coming home ahead of John Petit for third and fourth. It was 79 thousandths of a second over the line on that particular lap. Then it was Bernie Hook and Callum Wybrow, Ian Jackson and Henry Meduse. Simon Clowes came home to win the Moto Team category in 9th place. Neil Kinnaird in 10th. Then it was Andrews, Ben O'Keefe and Kevin Gritton. Daniel Gilbert and Alistair Kinnaird, your top 15, ahead of Tony Campana, Vince Bailey, Greg Pym, Gary O'Keefe, Mark Prattley, Harrison O'Keefe, that's your top 21, Sean Whittaker and Fraser Kinnaird not starting that race. So, thank you for joining us. This is live coverage of round 6 of the 2019 Cool Fab Racing British Minibike Championships. We're live on the Cool Fab Racing website, on Motorsport Radio and on motorsport.tv. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you're enjoying the great action at home so far. Thanks for all your comments as well. Hopefully get to read a few of those out a little bit later in the show. My name's Dan Marr, alongside me is Liam Hodgins. 2 races gone, but the action's still going to get hotter and hotter, and that last race there with the Pit Bike 140 Moto teams, what a race.
It was a great race. It was very intense over the last couple of laps, especially with Bradley Ray getting caught by championship leader Jamie King and Rob Petit and John Petit giving us a great battle for the final podium positions. But we've got the next race just about to head out on to the circuit, the LC40 Elite class. They're on the green flag lap, and this class is one to definitely behold. So it's going to be Johnny Garness, the championship leader, on bike number 57, starting on pole position at 54.560, ahead of the number 72 of Samuel Munson. A 55.66 puts him in second position. Mason Foster, who picked up his second race win in the LC40 Elite class back at Lid. And race number 2 will be starting from third position, just ahead of the number 2 of Josh Bannister. Ronnie Harris on bike number 66 in 5th position on row number 3, ahead of Clayton Edmonds on bike 146, who's just ahead of the 100 of Cameron Sewell. Ethan Sparks on 62 will be next up in 8th, ahead of Henry McCartney in 9 spots. Rounding out the top 10 for the start of this LC40 Elite race will be Charlie Huntingford on bike number 76. Finn and Werity on bike number 11 will be in 11th place, ahead of Holly Harris on bike 15, and then Greg Marshall will be in 13th, Warwick Brady on the number 99 and 14th, and Jacob Stevenson on bike number 67 will be rounding out the runners and riders in 15th spot, ahead of the junior LC40 Elite race number 1. And here's Dan to take you through the start.
Round 6 of the 2019 Cool Fab Racing British Minibike Championships. We are getting ready for racing action here at Wilton Mill. The wind is picking up again, the sun is out, it's blaring hot, it's 20 degrees. The wind is blowing everybody about there. Starting marshals, her flag just bouncing away in the wind, but they look towards the red lights now. The revs rise, the tension builds, we are ready for a race. 9 laps in prospect, they're underway and a good start from the front row. Josh Bannister making a decent start. Johnny Garness and Samuel Munson, though, getting the best of it as they make their way through the opening few corners of this lap. And it's a fast series, this junior LC40 Elite. A bit more power, a bit trickier to really get the grasp of these machines, heading into the second chicane, second hairpin for the first time out of 9. Everyone gets through safely, which is great to have. Henry McCartney making a decent start in this race. The race leaders out already starting to make a bit of a gap in themselves. The race leader off and away. Johnny Garness made a great start. Samuel Munson, though, back to the old defensive tricks for the number 72. A 3-race scrap for second place, Liam.
I'm not surprised that Johnny Garnes is clearing off into the distance this early on. 1.1 seconds quicker than anyone else in qualifying earlier on today. But this has left us a great battle for second between Munson, Foster and Bannister. The number 72 picked up his first race win in the class back at lead, and race number 3 is in the second spot, but coming under pressure from second position championship, Mason Foster. Oh, that was tight as he headed into Christmas corner. They had to just take stock for a moment, going through the right, the left and right again, powering down towards the hairpin at the bottom end of the circuit. Munson still holding second ahead of Mason Foster. Josh Bannister just behind them, but we've also got Clayton Edmonds, Ronnie Harris and Cameron Sewell looking like they're just closing down the second, third and fourth riders in this battle. Powering down towards the last 3 corners. Can Mason Foster take a move up the inside? Not doing it just yet, just looking to see where he's stronger and where Munson is a little bit better on the brakes compared to himself.
But Josh Bannister is enjoying this battle. He's just watching and waiting, sizing them both up, and that is the trouble when you're racing in a pack with a few other riders in the battle as well, because all of a sudden you can go, well, hang on, I'm about to be overtaken because I'm not being patient enough. You do have to wait a little bit just to get your turn when it's right. Johnny Garnes isn't worrying about such things. He is, wait for it, 4 seconds up the road ahead of Samuel Munson in just 2 laps. A great start from the number 57 rider, off and away. Samuel Munson, though, a bit of a cork in the bottle. The number 72 ahead of the number 88, Mason Foster, under increasing pressure from Josh Bannister into the first of the 2 long left-handers. Flick right and onto the back straight. It's a 5-bike train all in one. We're near the West Coast main line, but the train action's here really. Munson in second, third for Foster. That's the battle for third and fourth. Fourth place is Bannister. Ronnie Harris is fifth. We've got a rider who's stopped. I'm not sure who that is. And the rider stopped. Marshals go over. They're up and off the bike. They are okay. They haven't fallen, it seems. They might have, the bike may have just conked out. Give it a control lock, delete and a restart, and it should get it through. But an ever technical thump of the bike, that might be enough to get it going. But the battle, though, between second and third, Mason Foster, Samuel Munson, they are having an absolute flyer.
I tell you what, Ronnie Harris is the one to keep an eye out on. The number 66 is just behind the number 2 of Josh Bannister. He's been putting in a lot of great laps in the last few laps to close the gap back up to second, third and fourth. But saying that, Samuel Munson is starting to break Mason Foster in third. Mason Foster's been struggling a little bit this weekend in the LC40 Elite category, and Samuel Munson in the 72, after his first race win at lead last time out, has really gained the confidence to push a lot further in this race. But as I say that, Mason Foster must have heard us, because he's already closed the gap back down to Munson on the 72. Coming across start finish line, there's only 5 laps remaining of this race, race number 1 of the LC40 Elites. Now, who can get the best run out of turn number 2? Powering up to Christmas corner, Munson looks late on the brakes, but not late enough. Mason Foster still holding Samuel Munson just at bay at the moment. Josh Bannister, Munson nearly runs in the grass coming through the turn at 5 right-hander there, Dan.
There's absolutely no room to breathe in this battle so far as they make their way through the left-hander. A bit of a mistake from Josh Bannister. He made it through into third place, albeit briefly. Mason Foster gets back through thanks to a bit of a mistake at the first of the 2 left-handers into the corner, runs a little deep. That was all that Mason Foster needed to really screw his head back on, get himself into the game, and now they're back up behind Samuel Munson. Johnny Garnes is leading this race. There's 4 laps to go. Third, fourth, fifth, and that's the second as well. Second for Samuel Munson, now 2 tenths ahead of Mason Foster. Foster's got Josh Bannister all over the back of him, and all over the back of him is the number 66 of Ronnie Harris. A 4-bike scrap for second place into Christmas corner once more. No move is to be made so far. Samuel Munson is just absolutely soaking up the pressure into the second hairpin. The line is absolutely nailing the hairpin, doing a mighty fine job of running in a gaggle. Once again, Josh Bannister up the inside for the third place. So it is Bannister into third place. Johnny Garnes is leading this race now and doing a great job heading into the first few corners. He crosses the line now. 55.3 was his first lap. The number 57 of Johnny Garnes is doing a great job in this race. Samuel Munson, though, should be coming over in second place. He is, but they're confirmed. Bannister in third, 4 for Mason Foster. Ronnie Harris will definitely be sensing that something could change here, Liam.
They can indeed, but I just want to draw your attention to the lap times. Johnny Garnett is still setting lap times at 1 second quicker than the pursuing battle. So Munson, Bannister, Foster and Harris are all tripping each other up. Mason Foster looking up the inside of Bannister down towards the hairpin. Not doing it yet, but this is where Bannister's really good. Can he make it up the inside of Munson? No, he can't, just taking stock for the moment. But Munson and Bannister look like they're gapping Foster and Harris at the moment. Flicking it through to the right-hander, running over the curve very nearly. Here comes Josh Bannister up the inside of Munson, but Munson's very good on the brakes, and then switching it over to turn number 8 on the circuit, the right-hander before the final corner. And looking this once again, Mason Foster on the back of Bannister, and of course Munson. There's only 2 laps remaining, Dan. This is anyone's race.
Anyone's race, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and that's the battle we're enjoying so far. 9.5 seconds is the gap between Garnett and Munson. That's your race leader, just how far he's been able to push in this last race. He's still lapping quicker than Samuel Munson and co, and he's really letting off now. His fastest lap was a 55.1. A lap and a half to go though. Munson under pressure again from Josh Bannister. Bannister enjoys this first part of the 2 left-hander complex as a rider just pulling off to the side to get out of the way of the riders, very conscious not to intervene in the battle. Through the back straight once again, this is the penultimate lap for these riders, and Samuel Munson can just release off the brake, throw it into the first part of the chicane, left, right, through the final few corners. And Josh Bannister is about to come over the line there, starting their final lap. Final lap for Johnny Garnett as well, but this is it. Munson in 2nd, 3rd for Bannister, 4th for Foster and 5th for Ronnie Harris. Who is it, Liam, that's going to take 2nd place?
I'm not too sure who it could be, but one thing we do know is that Johnny Garnett on bike number 57 will be picking up another race win to extend his championship lead. There's only a few more corners to go for the number 57. Over towards at the far end of the circuit, the double left-hander flicking it right now for the 57. We'll be keeping an eye out on the battle for 2nd. Munson, Bannister, Foster, Harris, as close as you like. It could be any of them for 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th. But 2 more corners to go for your championship leader. Through the final corner, the right-hander onto the home straight. He sees the checkered flag. Johnny Garnett, number 57, takes another race win in the LC40 Elite. We've got to look back at 2nd position. Who will it be? Will it be the 72 or the number 2 of Bannister? They're coming across the line now. It's Munson, Bannister, Foster, Harris, as close as you like. You can cover them with a paper towel. It was that close. Great racing there from the 4 young racers. Clayton Edmonds just missed out on the battle for the podium positions there, but Samuel Munson and Josh Bannister only a 1/10 of a second covering those 2, and 2/10 of a second covering 2nd back to 4th, Dan.
Well, yes, certainly Johnny Garnett taking the race win. Munson though with a great run over the line for the final time. The number 72 finally securing that 2nd place in the race. Josh Bannister and Mason Foster 3rd and 4th ahead of Ronnie Harris and Clayton Edmonds. Cameron Sewell came home in 7th place ahead of Charlie Huntingford. Finn Werity and Holly Harris. That rounds out the top 10 with Warwick Brady, Greg Marshall and Jacob Stevenson in the top 13. Not a look indeed there for Jacob. Henry McCartney though in 14th was a retirement from that race, just 2 laps completed for him. Unfortunately Ethan Sparks didn't go out there, but the number 57 taking a load of applause and celebrations from the crowd, from the fellow riders, team members and family members in the paddock and assembly area. They really enjoyed that race. Oh, a bit of a blank there from Mason Foster. He's maybe not quite so happy after that result. He's going to have to get his head down maybe, and we will get ready then for the next race here at Wilton Mill, round 6 of the 2019 Cool FAB-Racing British Minibike Championships. Thanks for joining us on the Cool FAB-Racing website, on motorsport.radio and on Motorsport TV. Thank you very much for getting in touch. If you are tuning in for the first time, thank you very much. Thank you for joining us. We hope you're enjoying the racing so far. My name's Dan Marr. Alongside me is Liam Hodgins. Liam, You love Twitch, you love things like that. How do our great viewers get in touch if they want to leave a comment, show their appreciation for our riders and the racing, and maybe even let us know what you think might happen in the races to come?
Well, you can get in touch through Facebook, we're FAB-Racing, and of course Motorsport Radio. Also on Twitter, we can find us there at FAB-Racing, and on our new Twitter handle at Motorsport Radio. Twitch as well, we're on that, so for you gamers out there, you can absolutely get in touch there. A great place to access the younger audience out there, and of course YouTube is another place. And for the second weekend running, we're on motorsport.tv, so if you just tuned in for the first time, hopefully you're enjoying it, and welcome to FAB-Racing 2019.
We hope we can add you to our growing list of loyal viewers for this championship and round 6 of the 2019 FAB-Racing British Mini Bike Championships. The senior mini motos head out onto circuit for their first race of the weekend, and Bernie Hook is going to be lining up at the very front of the field. It's been a great championship race so far, and as they get ready for the start of this race, it will be a quick top 10 then with Liam Hodgins, who's got the grid.
So it's the number 0 of Bernie Hook, who will be leading off pole position. A 57.6 took him to pole position earlier on today, ahead of Matt Birkin on number 5. Richard Holmes Williams on 126 will be in third, ahead of Josh Birkin on number 4. Adam Ambrose on bike number 21 will be in 5th, ahead of Andy Whedon. On bike number 7, Simon Huntingford on bike 47 will be in 7th spot, ahead of Craig Ashall and Chris Yeomans on bike 85, with Ricky Goosey rounding out your top 10 on the starting grid.
I think Neil Skinner, Jess Lucas and Ashton Dean will round out the 13 strong riders, although one rider looking towards the paddock, maybe a bit of troubles with starting that machine, trying to get it underway feverishly quickly with how many laps is in this race? I believe it's a 10-lap race, 9-lap race in prospect. The riders look towards the green flag. We start with the lights. Many riders just getting that last minute tension underway. It can be very nervy sitting on the grid with a bit of wind coming. It's still blowing a bit of a gale out there so far. First and second are on your screen now, if you're tuned in to the visual radio screen. If you are, stream, thank you very much. Thank you for joining us, and of course, great thank you to also joining here the radio stream. Great to have you here. Listen, watch the action. You can catch all the action from 2019 on the Motorsport Radio website, and even go back to last season, 2017, even 2016. A great archive of FAB-Racing to enjoy as we're about to get racing for the senior mini motos. Race 1 gets underway now. Good start from the front row. Bernie Hook got a good start, but Richard Holmes Williams gets a better one, powers into the lead, heading up towards the first corners for the first time. Everyone makes it through safely. A long run but a fast run into Christmas Curve. Turn number 3, it's a tight hairpin, got to really navigate it. Matt Birkin is into the mix, into second place, but Bernie Hook leads just for now. 3 wide heading into turn number 5. They go side by side. Richard Holmes Williams makes a great move into second place, but Bernie Hook is ahead of Richard Holmes Williams and Matt Birkin.
It's great to have Matt Birkin back this weekend. He missed lid round number 5 at last time out, but he's sitting pretty there in third position, just ahead of Josh Birkin. But it's Bernie Hook and Richard Holmes Williams has been giving us a lot of the action so far this season, along with Matt Birkin, who are sitting in first and second. So as the riders come around to complete lap number 1, it's going to be Bernie Hook ahead of Richard Holmes Williams, 0.2 of a second. Cover those two. Matt Birkin on bike number 5, 0.6 further back. But as our move here from Matt Birkin on Richard Holmes Williams, not yet, but he gets a great run out of turn number 2 along the back straight up to Christmas corner there. So, but loses a little bit of time through the right section, nearly running on the grass. Does Matt Birkin as head down towards the hairpin, but Richard Holmes Williams is closed right up to the back of Bernie Hook. Through the double left-hander they go, powering out of the first one, down towards the second. Oh, it looks like Bernie Hook's ran a little bit wide. Richard Holmes Williams takes no second chance there and already in the lead. But then Bernie Hook comes powering back ahead of Holmes Williams. A little bit of bike movement. Who's it going to be? Wow, this is close racing between the 0 of Hook and Richard Holmes-Williams. The 126 pats his bike, and it looks like we've got the number 4 of Josh Birkin pulled off the circuit. Yes, we do. Josh Birkin looking down at his bike, not sure if there was a technical issue there or it might have gone down, but fingers crossed we can get Josh Birkin back into races 2 and 3 tomorrow, but we can't turn our attentions away just yet from the battle for first. Hook, Richard Holmes-Williams, Josh Birkin, Matt Birkin, apologies, in third spot there, powering down towards the hairpin. Once again, we've got Hook on the red bike, Holmes-Williams on the black bike, and just off them a little bit in the blue and orange leathers is, of course, Matt Birkin, who returns this weekend. Will Hook run a little bit wide? Will Holmes-Williams push himself up the inside? Yes, he does. He doesn't need an invitation this time round, but Hook, a lot quicker on the straights, powers down towards the third to last corner, and he's back in the lead of the race, Dan.
Well, he's back in the lead of the race. He thumped the bike, the number 37. That looks to be Ashton Dean on 137. He's in 12th. Problems with that machine, so rider is up and trying to push the bike, so seems to be just a few technical problems once again. Bernie Hook, though, back into the lead of this race. Richard Holmes-Williams with the fastest lap. Looks left, looks right, looks up the inside into Christmas curve. Job done, and up to the lead once again. Matt Birkin in third place. Absolute celebrations as they fight tooth and nail. The 126 right over the curb at the right-hander, taking absolutely no risks, none whatsoever, and pushing as hard as he dares. Bernie Hook, though, leads just from Richard Holmes-Williams. Matt Birkin third, fourth for Simon Huntingford, fifth is Andy Whedon at the moment, but Hook, as Liam mentioned so brilliantly, much better straight line speed than Richard Holmes-Williams. A lap ago, Richard Holmes-Williams pulled a bit of a wheelie, maybe out of pure frustration, as they make their way through the final corner and over the line once again. Richard Holmes-Williams crosses the beam in first place. A big load of wind is pushing the riders down the start-finish line, giving them a good sort of slipstream, especially for Bernie Hook around the back straight when they're riding right into the wind. But Richard Holmes-Williams holds off. The number 126 also missing around earlier on this season, so he's got points to make up. Bernie Hook's making a point in second place.
He is indeed, but Hook isn't letting Richard Holmes-Williams off the line just yet. Going towards the double left-hander. Did something just fly off Hook's bike there? Not quite sure what that was, but they've got Holmes-Williams bouncing over the curves. You might be right there, Dan, it could be leaves, but trying to avoid a pun, but Hook definitely hooks the bike up, powering down that straight and powers past Holmes-Williams down the back straight with 3 more corners to go on this lap. This is a great battle between these two. Race number 1, we've got 2 more races to go after this, and we've already got Hook and Richard Holmes-Williams giving us one of the best battles of the season.
A great battle this season, I almost cannot believe it, but making their way down towards Christmas curve once again. 5 laps completed, 4 laps to go. We're past the halfway stage in this race. The number 0 in number 1 position. Richard Holmes-Williams has got the fastest lap. Doesn't like sitting behind Bernie for very long. They're side by side into the second hairpin again. Richard Holmes-Williams has got so much more pace on the brakes, just able to hit them harder, hit them deeper, roll into the curve and just carry the momentum through. But Bernie Hook with the raw speed in a straight line. Up the inside again, Richard Holmes-Williams makes my point explicit through the second left-hander and into the right-hander, onto the back straight. Bernie Hook powers through, a little bit of help from the wind. Richard Holmes-Williams isn't attacking him too crazily. I know that sounds weird, but he knows he's got a real deficit in the straight line. He's just biding his time through the final corner, running a little on the curb, running on the edge. That's how the riders like to really manhandle their machines. Bernie Hook is not getting away from Richard Holmes-Williams. He's right up the back, holding on in second place. Thinking of a move into Christmas corner, not quite this time, although gives it half a go. Bernie Hook just turns in a bit later, and that sort of seems to be the real way that he can lure Richard Holmes-Williams in.
I think the wind out there is making an effect on both of these riders. Hook is just a little bit smaller than Holmes-Williams, so that might be having an effect on the bigger rider as they head down towards the third to last corner. Will we see a look up the inside from Holmes-Williams? Not doing it this time. Hook just defends the line a little bit better, but look at the gap that Bernie Hook can pull out along that straight down towards the third to last corner there. So we can see that out of our commentary box window. The last couple of corners to go. 2 more laps remaining. We've got another rider pulling off the circuit. That is the number 47 of Simon Huntingford. He was sitting in 4th place there. That's disastrous there for the 47 of Huntingford.
Well, that could be a good few points he could have had. If he could still continue in this race, he'd still be guaranteed almost a top 10 position. Bernie Hook and Richard Holmes-Williams, touch wood, are also guaranteed top 10 positions at the moment because they're first and second. 2 laps to go, a lap and a half now to go. Richard Holmes-Williams as close as he absolutely dares, right up the back of Bernie Hook, feeling those emissions from the tailpipe on the bike through the first left. A little bit of a blast down a short straight into the second left-hander, flick it over right, and this is where Bernie Hook's helped. They're riding into the wind. Richard Holmes-Williams still struggling in a straight line, and Bernie Hook holding on, soaking up the pressure through the final few corners, the final corner, and then the final right-hander 90-degree sweep. Very quick, very luring to run right over the curbing to start the final lap of this race. Bernie Hook is in the lead for now. Richard Holmes-Williams, this is now whenever he's going to have to make a move later, well, sooner rather than later, into Christmas corner for the final time. Doesn't make it work, can't quite make it, challenge it through the right, left, right again. The second hairpin is on their way. Richard Holmes-Williams could have a look at the inside. He does, and he's right up the back of Bernie Hook, though. This is set for a glorious final half a lap, Liam.
Oh, it is indeed. Fingers crossed they both can stay on. Holmes-Williams up the inside, looks at Hook, doesn't quite make it stick yet. Hook runs a little bit wide at the apex. Richard Holmes-Williams tries to hook it up, powering down the back straight for the final time, but has Hook got a little bit of a gap? Can Holmes-Williams push it past him? 2 more corners to go. There's 1 more to go. They're setting up. Hook looks to have it done at the moment, but look at this. It's Holmes-Williams round the outside of the final corner, runs off. Hook takes the race win by a 1/10 of a second ahead of Holmes-Williams. He tried something different there. He sort of backed off in the final corner, tried to get the run round the outside, didn't make it stick, but Hook just manages to hold on. Great respect there from these 2 competitors, shaking hands on the cool down lap. Matt Birkin, who dropped 18 seconds off the top 2 in the final 10 laps, picks up a great podium position in 3rd. Adam Ambrose on bike number 21 in 4th, and then Andy Whedon comes across the line ahead of Craig Ashall for 5th and 6th.
Well, a great result then from the first senior mini moto race of the weekend. Bernie Hook and Richard Holmes-Williams were your race leaders. Bernie Hook, though, took the race win in great style. One of the riders pushing their machines back to the paddock.
Oh, just looking at that, chain is off. So chain is off for Josh Birkin, so that must have been the issue.
Well, that is a shame for Josh Birkin. Only completed 1 lap on our thing, but Bernie Hook is ahead of Richard Holmes-Williams. Matt Birkin rounds out your top 3. Adam Ambrose and Andy Whedon are in the top 5, ahead of Craig Ashall and Chris Yeomans. Neil Skinner and Jess Lucas round out the top 9. Simon Huntingford a lap down on 6 laps. Then it was Josh Birkin and Ashton Dean out of this race. It looks like Ricky Guzzi didn't even get to start this race, so that might have been the rider at the start of the race that couldn't quite get it working. Although Bernie Hook really could get it working here. The first race of the weekend, a great battle from Bernie in the senior mini motos category. Extends his lead in the championship significantly. No Will Howard in this race, and Matt Birkin only finishing 3rd, gathers a few more points, but the riders getting a good clap and a pat on the back for their race, heading into the paddock, but heading out onto track, Liam. The first race of the weekend for the Mini GP50s. The pressure's on, the heat is up, the riders are feeling the wind through their helmet, but the Mini GP50s head out onto circuit.
And it's going to be Josh Bannister, your championship leader, who leads away from pole position in this Mini GP50 race. Number 1 from Wilton Mill, ahead of Harrison Crosby. Only 5 points cover these 2 in the championship. Kyle Payne will be starting from 3rd position on row number 2, ahead of Ryan Hitchcock on bike number 43. Sullivan Mounsey on bike number 144 in 5th position, ahead of Lucas Brown on bike number 29. Thomas Gomez will be 7th, starting from row number 4, ahead of Ronnie Harris on bike 66. Jimmy Parker on bike number 39 will be in 9th, and rounding out the top 10 for the start of this race will be Ben Jolliffe on bike 125. Ollie Horner is next up in 11th spot on bike number 70, ahead of Harrison McKay in 12th. Then it's going to be Carter Brown in 13th on bike number 37. The number 8 of Alfie Davidson will be going off 14th on the grid, ahead of Cameron Sewell, who makes a late appearance in this class after picking up this class a little bit later on in the season. Will be 15th ahead of Luke Schofield on bike number 64, Warwick Brady on bike number 99 and 17th, and then Aston Dean on bike 137 and 18th.
So as the riders get ready for the first race of the weekend, the Mini GP50 is a highly anticipated race here at Wilton Mill. The bikes suit the track, the conditions are great. Couldn't be much better really here at Wilton Mill, round 6 of the 2019 FAB-Racing British Mini Bike Championships. The official partner series to the Bennett's British Superbike Championship on the road to MotoGP. Thank you for joining us here at the Daventry circuit on motorsport.radio, on the FAB-Racing website and on Motorsport TV. Great, thanks for everyone for tuning in for the last few weekends. Great to have you here with us. Hopefully you're feeling just as part of the action as we are, because this is getting fantastic here, Liam.
It is indeed, Dan. This is one of the championships to behold. The Mini GP50 is only 5 points covering Josh Bannister and Harrison Crosby, who are on the front row of the grid.
And they look towards the red lights. The revs rise. The Mini GP50's first race of the weekend is about to get underway. The revs are up now, and after a little delay we get underway. Good start from Josh Bannister. The second row though seemed to make an even better start than the first row, so Kyle Payne makes a great start, heading up into second place. Good start though, Josh Bannister just doing enough to take the lead into this race for the first time out of 12. And it says 12 laps in this race. Harrison Crosby also making a decent start. It's very tight around here, so a few riders got to be careful not quite tripping over each other and causing a few problems. Got to recall 12 months ago Finn Smart in a Mini GP race causing a bit of controversy with a quite a large accident. Of course all were fine in the end, and all was sorted out. But as we make our way over the line for the first time, Josh Bannister making a good enough getaway into the lead of the race, a couple of machine lengths ahead of Kyle Payne in second place. Third place for Harrison Crosby, not what he needs for his championship hopes at the moment. Third place, Lucas Brown up to 4th, the hell of Sullivan Mounsey, Ryan Hitchcock and Ronnie Harris in 6th and 7th. In the tow though, Harrison Crosby looks up the inside into Christmas corner, couldn't make it work though, so remaining in third for now, although it's just behind them, Lucas Brown and Sullivan Mounsey getting toe to toe. They're really fighting away. Lucas Brown got a few riders including Ryan Hitchcock around him as well.
Warwick Brady looking like he's making some great progress in this class, sitting pretty there in one of the top positions. But it's Kyle Payne and Harrison Crosby we need to keep an eye out on, because these two had a bit of a coming together last time out at Lid when Harrison Crosby tagged at the back of Kyle Payne. Both were okay, but that was a detriment to Harrison Crosby's title defence for the moment. But coming across the start finish line once again, half a second covers the top two. Josh Bannister back to Kyle Payne on bike 25. Harrison Crosby all over the bag of the 25 for second position. Sullivan Mounsey on bike 144 and fourth spot ahead of Lucas Brown. Ryan Hitchcock in sixth. Ronnie Harris in seventh ahead of Thomas Gomez, Carter Brown and Alfie Davidson running out the top 10. But there's a couple of moves going on further down. That's Alfie Davidson, Carter Brown as well, and Thomas Gomez. So Carter Brown makes a move on Thomas Gomez, but Alfie Davidson mugs them both into Christmas corner there. So Christmas has definitely come early there for the number 8 of Alfie Davidson. But Josh Bannister still holding first position.
He's holding that position. We're going to have to stop using that phrase, because that's going to be really tiring in about 3 races, isn't it? And I'm as guilty as you for saying it, so I'm not picking on you, Liam. Do not worry. But Josh Bannister's not worrying either. He's leading. Someone is under a lot of pressure. That is the number 37 rider. A little further down, Carter Brown being overtaken by Jimmy Parker. Little Jimmy Parker through on Carter Brown. So another move made there, up to 10th place now for Jimmy. So the number 39 making some great headway into this race, certainly not going for a second portion there. But as Josh Bannister leads this race, 1.193 seconds ahead of Kyle Payne. Harrison Crosby in third, ahead of Sullivan Mounsey, third and fourth under a little bit of a fight. in second and third though, getting closer between Payne and Crosby. Kyle Payne really come on over the last few rounds of the championship, really getting a bit between his teeth. A little further down though, and Lucas Brown having a good race. Ryan Hitchcock though into 5th, 6th for Lucas Brown. Nose to tail though through the penultimate corners. The number 44 machine, it looked like it could be Sullivan Mounsey over the line again. So yes, Josh Bannister leads. Carl Payne second, third for Harrison Crosby now with the fastest lap, and Sullivan Mounsey is in 4th place and fighting hard.
Now we've got Ryan Hitchcock out there on the number 43, but in the colours of what Warwick Brady usually races on, so completely confusing me a little bit earlier on, thinking that Warwick Brady was in that battle there. But Harrison Crosby in third, still all over the back of Kyle Payne for second position. Josh Bannister is away and running 1 second ahead of this battle for second. The double left-hander to go, flicking it right, changes of direction, really tough in these mini GP50s, but Harrison Crosby, a great run down towards the third to last corner, up the inside, pushes Kyle Payne wide. He knows he has to get that done nice and early. As you can see, his championship rival pulling ever further away with only 7 laps remaining as they come across start finish line now. But it's a 1.4 second advantage for Josh Bannister ahead of Harrison Crosby, who's just setting a 53.9. Very close lap times between the top two, Dan.
Well, it is close. The gap's still extending, but they've still got to work hard at it. They've got 7 laps to go, so there is time for anything to happen within this race. Pointed out, Kyle Payne still third. Is ahead of Sullivan Mounsey and Ryan Hitchcock. They've been scrapping for the last few laps. The 144 ahead of 43, as you mentioned, riding in the some familiar sort of white and yellow colours that Warwick Brady has been riding for a while, and the Sullivan Mounsey in a very similar livery to the one that Emmanuel Brinton has been riding for the last few seasons as well. So it's slightly different changed colours, but it's all getting a bit confusing here for us. It must be the heat in the commentary box. But side by side again, Hitchcock up the inside of Mounsey. Mounsey fights back, but the position does change. So Bannister, Crosby, Payne, your top 3. Hitchcock 4th, Mounsey 5th. 6th is Lucas Brown ahead of Ronnie Harris. Thomas Gomez enjoying a good run with Alfie Davidson and Jimmy Parker in the top 10. Carter Brown ahead of Ben Jolliffe. Holly Horner ahead of Harrison McKay. Cameron Saul and Luke Schofield, your top 16 ahead of Ashton Dean. They're all still running. It's at the halfway point in this race, and it's a second pretty much even between Josh Bannister and Harrison Crosby. Harrison pushing harder and harder. The number 69 fancies the overall lead. Kyle Payne getting his head down though. It's not too far away from that battle. Still a couple of seconds clear of Ryan Hitchcock.
We've got to keep an eye out on the battle for first and second. Harrison Crosby took half a second out of Bannister's lead last time round. Not sure if Bannister made a bit of a mistake or Harrison Crosby is just on a roll now, but it's coming across start finish line now. 5 laps remaining. The gap is back up to 1.1 seconds, so Bannister must have just made a small mistake.
He may well have made a mistake, but the gap was closing in visually. As mentioned, it's a ebb and flow of the race. The leader, Josh Bannister, the number 2, into Christmas curve. The first hairpin, and then you got to immediately throw the bike left, right, left again, position it perfectly for the hairpin. Harrison Crosby still got to defend from Kyle Payne. Kyle's not dropping back, he's catching up and he's going to push them both further ahead. Josh Bannister struggling a little bit through the next positions into the first, or into the 2 left-handers. Really getting a bit confused there, but into the chicane once more. Left, right, the penultimate few corners, running a bit deeper, and he's catching a other rider in this race at just the wrong moment into the final corner. Has cost valuable tenths. A problem there for the number 98 of Thomas Gomez. Unfortunately, with a technical problem, the rider's up and okay. It could just be a technical problem. The heat can often pose a problem for these machines, but Bannister is only 9/10 of a second ahead of Harrison Crosby. Crosby and Payne now both with identical fastest laps on that last lap.
We've got to move here for second. Look at Payne up the inside. Great opportunistic manoeuvre there. Sorry to jump over the Dan, but Harrison Crosby didn't see that coming. We didn't see that coming either. Kyle Payne definitely thinking that he can definitely close the gap back to Josh Bannister, but Harrison Crosby, great run out of the right-hander down the back straight in towards the third to last corner. Doesn't make the move stick just yet. 2 more corners to go before the end of this lap. There will be 3 laps remaining at the end of this one. Across our first line to go. The gap between first and second is definitely down. It's visually down. It's 9/10 of a second for the first time in a few laps. Dan, this has definitely come down to under a second, as Harrison Crosby had a bit of a moment coming out turn number 2, ran over the curb, so that's left Kyle Payne with a bit of a gap to Harrison Crosby just behind.
But he's got speed in reserve. On the previous lap, Crosby and Payne both set 53.650 as far as this lap, on the same lap, as there were no to tell. That's absolutely fantastic stuff. But Kyle Payne, another new fastest lap, 53.6, using all of that speed he's held up for the last 9 laps of this race, and with 2.5 laps left to go, Kyle's going to have to set up a move now. He's closing up to Josh Bannister, ostensibly into the left, into the right. The final chicane, they've got to move past another rider. That's closed the gap up once again. The number 2 rider might have the pace of a number 2 rider in the race. He might be leading for now, but with 2 laps to go, it's all still to play for. 10 laps complete, and Bannister is just 0.2 of a second ahead of Kyle Payne, the number 25, unleashing the pace, that weapon of pace where it matters most. Into the infield once again, right, left, right again, lining up astern. He's going to have a cheeky move up the inside of the hip, and he's going to go for it. He's up the inside and makes the move complete. Kyle Payne with an audacious late braking manoeuvre takes a racing lead, and now Bannister could lose out 2 positions in 2 corners. Crosby's in 3rd, not for too much longer, but Kyle Payne, when it mattered most, just went for it, and wow, what a move, Liam.
It was indeed, Dan. I'm not sure if Josh Bannister has maybe used up all of his tyres, but he's lost a lot of the advantage they had earlier on in the race. Kyle Payne, the new fastest lap of the race last time round, 1 more lap to go. Here's the penultimate lap. Can Crosby take 2nd position from his championship rival Bannister? Can Bannister retaliate to Payne? He's not giving up just yet, powering up towards Christmas Corner for the final time. Josh Bannister has a sneaky look up the inside of Payne, can't make it stick yet, just lining up a couple of manoeuvres down towards the hairpin. They go late on the brakes for Bannister, runs deep into the corner. Payne runs a little bit wide over the curb. They go a few more corners to go. The double left comes up now. Payne nice and easy across the curbs on the exit, once again into the other left, flicking it right. There's a couple of bike lights between Bannister and Payne, but Bannister's got a great run down towards the 3rd to last corner, looks round the outside. Payne holds an inside line, making sure the Bannister can't come round the outside or up the inside. 1 more corner to go. It's going to be Kyle Payne on the bike, number 25, sees the checker flag, fist in the air. Kyle Payne takes race number 1 just ahead of the number 2 of Josh Bannister, who extends his championship lead to 9 points over championship rival Harrison Crosby, who finishes in 3rd. Sullivan Mounsey on the 144 picks up 4th, and we look back to Lucas Brown for 6th position, but Ryan Hitchcock comes across the line in 4th, just ahead of Sullivan Mounsey.
Wow, he's absolutely fisting the air, he's absolutely pumped. Is the number 25 rider of Kyle Payne. Rider still coming over the line now, and Kyle Payne is absolutely buzzing. He's very, very happy with that particular result, and he should be. A win is a win, and it's a real special one for Kyle Payne. But the number 25 rider, that is Kyle Payne, your race winner in the first race of the weekend for the Mini GP 50s. Josh Bannister ended up in 2nd place despite leading for so long in that race, just held on to 2nd place ahead of Harrison Crosby in 3rd. That's your podium. Ryan Hitchcock in 4th ahead of Sullivan Mounsey. 2 riders just stopping on circuit. They're doing a bit of a burnout. Wow. Kyle Payne delighted with that one. Sullivan Mounsey joining in as well. But Payne, Bannister, Crosby, that's your top 3 ahead of Ryan Hitchcock. Sullivan Mounsey in 4th, with Ronnie Harris in 6th place. Followed by, so it's Mounsey 5th, 6th for Harris, 7th ahead of Lucas Brown. Jimmy Parker in 8th ahead of Alfie Davidson. So a good run there for Jimmy Parker. Alfie Davidson in 9th place and 10th place for Carter Brown. Ollie Horner, Harrison McKee, Ben Jolliffe, Cameron Sewell, Luke Schofield round out the point scorers, with Ashton Dean and Thomas Gomez rounding out the 17 strong field.
I can imagine the parents, when they saw those burnouts, were not too happy, because that's just money down the drain for them.
Burning money, literally.
Yeah, burning money completely there. So they must have had their head in their hands going, no. So great right there from the Mini GP 50s once again. The top 3 giving us a classic battle, which they've given us all season long. Kyle Payne definitely might be out of this championship battle at the moment, but Josh Bannister and Harrison Crosby still less than 10 points between them, and still 2 more races to go this weekend. So Thank you very much for tuning in this weekend. This is Cool Fab Racing, round number 6 from Wilton Mill in Daventry. If you've just joined us for the first ever time, you can catch all the racing action on Facebook at Cool Fab Racing and, of course, Motorsport Radio. We're also on Twitter at Cool Fab Racing and, of course, on Motorsport Radio, our brand new Twitter handle at Motorsport Radio. And for the second weekend running, we're also broadcasting on Motorsport TV. So if you've just tuned in for the first time, hello and a very warm welcome from all of us here at Cool Fab, and hopefully you're enjoying the entire Cool Fab Racing action. So we've just had the 5th race of the day, the Mini GP50s, and it's the 6th race of the day. Heading round to the grid, it's going to be the Extreme 200 class, and of course these bikes will be out and you can hear them booming the way around the Wilton Mill circuit in Daventry. And it's going to be the number 76 of Elliot Pinton will be starting from pole position, half a second clear of second position of Richard Holmes-Williams on the 126. Oscar Pinton, the number 94, will be heading off row number 2 ahead of the Bennett's British Superbike Racer, who's joining us this weekend for some racing action. It's going to be Brad Ray on bike number 28. Rossi Banham on bike number 86 will be in 5th spot ahead of Taylor Lawrence on bike number 10, who can be the only one to stop Richard Holmes-Williams from taking the championship this weekend. Mark Evans will be heading off of 7th position on the 161 bike on row number 4 ahead of Pit Bike 140 star Jamie King on bike number 76. Brandon Pearl had a bit of an off yesterday in the wet conditions. Fingers crossed he can stay on his bike today. On the 146 he will be going off 9th position, and then rounding out the runners and riders for the start of the Extreme 200 race number 1 here from Wilton Mill will be Callum Wybrow on number 67. So as the riders line up on the grid, the sun is shining, the wind has calmed down ever so slightly. The riders are just positioning themselves on the grid, the 76 alongside the 126 of Richard Holmes-Williams, who will get the start off the line. Will be the 76, will be the 126. Pole position has had the best run into the first corner. Brad Ray will be starting from the back, the 28 on the blue bike and the blue leathers. Looking at the lights, the revs are rising for the Extreme 200 race number 1. The lights go out and away they go. It's the 126 of Holmes-Williams, gets a great start, but Elliot Pinton into first position as they head round turns 1 and 2. Already a bit of a gap from Pinton back to Holmes-Williams. Oscar Pinton on the 94 looking up the inside for second spot. Can't do it yet, but pushes Richard Holmes-Williams wide across the curb to go. Has Holmes-Williams held second spot? Yes, he has, just for the moment. But Brandon Pearl on the 146 has made a great start from 9th on the grid. He's set at about 6th or 7th so far in this opening lap, Dan.
Well, it's certainly been a clean opening lap from the rest of the field as they make their way through the first and the second of the left-handers, flicking through to the right and down to the short sprint before the chicane, heading into the final section of this circuit. It's a tricky one. And speaking of tricky, I did notice on the green flag lap, well, there's 2 riders out there with the number 28 on the front of their bike, so identification, not the easiest thing in the world, and you obviously can't enter more than 1 bike with 1 number, but they seem to be running with those anyway. Brad was out there. I think this is the session where he's enjoying the use of his horn, so if you hear any beeping, he's probably enjoying that horn a little bit too much whilst he's racing, but you know, something to do whilst you're out about in your Extreme 200 race. But back to the matter at hand, Elliot Pinton isn't concerned with such stuff because he is leading this race. Oscar Pinton in 2nd place ahead of Rossi Banham. Mark Evans making a good 4th place as well. I seem to have tickled Liam there a bit.
I'm sorry, but you had Brad Ray's beeping going off in the background as they went past the microphone there. So I didn't expect it, and I thought it was quite hilarious.
I literally just warned you about that. So he's certainly keeping it. He's very tucked up right behind the back of the Suzuki. For those of you who tune in on our visual radio stream, thank you for doing so. You may have seen him just absolutely hunkered down on the bike right underneath the front fairing, which is a great sight to see in the Cool Fab paddocks. It's certainly a sight to behold if you can see. If not, we will try and explain it to you some more. He's really settled all the way into the front of his bike. Elliot Pinton leads this race though, the number 76, ahead of Oscar Pinton in 2nd place. 3rd place is Rossi Banham, and that's your top 3 as they go so far. Number 76. It's Pinson, Elliott ahead of Oscar, first and second. Third is Rossi Banham. Fourth is Mark Evans. And that's fifth for Taylor Lawrence. That's your top 5 so far. Brandon Perrell certainly going out there, but Jamie King. But it is actually no transponder for a few of our riders, so a bit of explanation going on. But as the race continues, still some great battles going on out there, including between the Pinsons. Richard Holmes Williams is out there and enjoying a decent race. Not quite as close maybe as it was just a few races ago in the senior mini motos, but after that kind of race you would want a bit of a breather though, wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Be enjoying a little bit of the sunshine and the Extreme 200 race, and with the wind going down it'll be a little bit easier for him to get himself onto the back and the home straight without too much resistance this time round. So Elliot Pinson definitely leading this race so far with 7 laps remaining of this first race here at Wilton Mill for this Extreme 200 class. Brad Ray a little bit further back, having a little bit of fun with, I believe, his friend out there on the circuit at the moment. He's on the Suzuki bike, his friend is on one of his pit bike 140 bikes. So the 28 of Brad Ray just having a little bit of fun here in Daventry at the Wilton Mill circuit. It's Oscar Pinson on the time monitor, who's in second, ahead of Rossi Banham. Mark Evans on bike 161 in fourth spot, ahead of the 10 of Taylor Lawrence. A championship regular, Taylor Lawrence, has given us some fantastic battles this season, but sort of dropped off just a little bit over the last couple of rounds. Brandon Perrell, the yellow Perrell on the 146, is in sixth spot, ahead of the pit bike 140 championship leader and star Jamie King. Callum Wybrow on bike number 67 is in 8th, and then Brad Ray and Holmes Williams rounding out the rear. But Brad Ray looks like he's touring on circuit at the moment.
Is there a
not
problem
sure
with
what's
that
happening.
bike, or is he just lifting off? He was waving his left hand quite racistly, so maybe he's trying to actually looking over his left, looking over his right. Apologies for cutting you off there, Lee, because you've seen there was a problem there for a moment. You can see when a rider waves their hands about, you sort of fear the worst, really. But the two, as you may see on screen now, for those of you tuned in on motorsport.radio, on the Cool FAB-Racing website and on Motorsport TV, you may be able to see the two number 28 machines, as you mentioned just a moment ago. Richard Holmes Williams is in A position anyway. He's touring out there, I think leading on the road. I'm not quite sure at the moment, but halfway through this race, the yellow Perrell has got Jamie King, the 76, fighting right behind. So Pit Bike Sonic riding as fast as he can just behind the number 146 rider, tucking up, getting a bit of a slipstream. He uses the Extreme 200 as a bit of a run out just for extra session time, extra practice time. It doesn't cost too much more to do these extra races, so like with Brandon Perrell, they think, why not? It's a good time to go out and have an extra bit of racing. It doesn't cost me too much more to do, so we might as well enjoy it whilst we can. Through the first 2 or 3 corners, heading up towards Christmas Corner, the right-handed hairpin, Jamie King not fighting too hard at the moment, maybe thinking, I don't want to be doing any work tonight to fix my bike, I've got it set up pretty well, so just having a bit of a good run out. Many of the Extreme 200 riders really are enjoying this racing in the Wilton Mill circuit. It's such a challenge for these riders to really throw these bikes about, but you have to have a bit of precision about you.
You do indeed, and the precision is something that Jamie King has a lot off of. So precision of the bike is getting it turned in nice and late, hit the apex, flip the bike back over again if you have to, if you've gone through a left-hander into a right-hander, and then we've got a great battle going on for 6th and 7th, so we know this battle is definitely real on track. Brandon Perrell just a couple of tenths of a second ahead of Jamie King, and you won't be able to miss the yellow Perrell of Brandon Perrell because he's covered in yellow.
That's why he calls himself, it's why he calls himself the yellow Perrell, funny enough. It'd be ironic if he turned up in red, sort of red pyjamas and stuff like that, but as he makes his way up to turn number 4, he definitely knows what colour he is, as he's not looking at himself, that's for sure. Jamie King also knows what colour he is because he's been stuck behind him for quite a while. He's certainly going to be pushing for an overtake in the following laps, but with 4 laps to go, he's not got that much longer to go. They are starting to have to get into that position where a move's going to have to be made. Richard Holmes Williams certainly riding about the circuit. A bit of a squiggle under the braking for the number 76 rider of Elliot Pinson as well. So we've got just a it seems to be a bit of confusion. There's two 76s, there's two 28s out there. I know there's at least one 126, so it's just Richard Holmes Williams is touring out. We believe he's not going to be in the points, Richard Holmes Williams, but he is on the roads. So Elliot Pinson, the number 76 Elliot Pinson machine, is leading this race. The number 76 machine of Jamie King is now ahead of Brandon Perrell, though, making the move, we think, into Christmas corner. A late move, though. Fighting back is the yellow Perrell of Brandon Perrell. And he's certainly under no danger of being overtaken again now. He's fighting tooth and nail. With 3 laps to go, Elliot Pinson leads this race and leading it quite comfortably, 9 seconds ahead of Oscar Pinson.
Yeah, these two race, of course, alongside the BSB and the Supersports 300 class, so you can see lots of them racing in 2019. But Oscar Pinson just can't lay a glove on his brother Elliot Pinson, the 76, coming round the final corner across the start-finish line on the rumble strips. You can hear that as a bike's run over the rumble strips. It's a very abrasive surface, a very abrasive rumble strip, so you can just hear it vibrating as they head along the home straight and across start-finish line. And up towards Christmas corner goes Elliot Pinson, the 76 rider, looking to go on his way to another Extreme 200 race win in 2019. 9.9 seconds cover Elliot from Oscar. There is the 126 of Richard Holmes Williams in there, but since he's not got a timing monitor on, he won't be counting for any points this weekend. So a lap and a half remaining for the 76. Rossi Banham in third position, 14 seconds off of Elliot Pinson across the start-finish line. Welcome Elliot Pinson any moment now to start his penultimate lap.
Well, he comes over the line. The final lap board is being shown, so last lap now for the number 76 of Elliot Pinson. Certainly enjoying the racing out there so far. He's not had to race too much in this one. About 10 seconds ahead of Oscar. 11.165 is the gap between Elliot and Oscar. 76 and 94. Rossi Banham running in third place, and with half a lap to go, Elliot Pinson squaring into the braking zone into the later stages of this corner. You don't want to be doing that too much, because that could be the feeling you're getting up on with a bike, maybe you're just getting an over rotation on the brakes and that's not working too well. Right over the curve at the penultimate few corners though, so no worries there. But Elliot Pinson though, Liam, is about to take another victory.
Yes, one more corner remaining for Elliot Pinson, 76. I thought he lost the front as he went into the final corner there, but not quite yet. Across the start finish line, takes the checkered flag. Elliot Pinson picks up another Extreme 200 win. Over 10 seconds to go before Oscar Pinson comes across the line in second. The number 94 comes across the line, takes the checkered flag, second position, ahead of Rossi Banham, who tried to pop a wheelie, the 86. Great ride there into third position. And it's going to be Mark Evans holding off Taylor Lawrence, so they're 52 seconds further back. So Mark Evans will be just holding off Taylor Lawrence for fourth. And we're waiting for the number 10 of Taylor Lawrence, who comes across the line now to take a well-earned fifth position.
Well, great race then from Elliot Pinson, the winner of the first Extreme 200 race of the weekend. The riders make their way back to the paddock and for a bit of a rest as we head into something even more exciting than that last race. Not that it wasn't exciting, it was extremely exciting, but even more to come now from the mini F1 sidecars. We heard from a few riders this morning in the pre-show, but thank you for joining us. And as we get ready to go racing in a few moments, thank you for joining us. This is live coverage of round 6 of the 2019 Cool FAB-Racing British Mini Bike Championships. Thank you for joining us on the Motorsport Radio website, on the Cool FAB-Racing website and on Motorsport TV. Thank you for joining us. My name's Dan Marr. Alongside me is Liam Hodgins. Liam, thank you for joining me this weekend, as you have been here all season this year here at the Cool FAB-Racing British Mini Bike Championships. Well, the sun's out, the wind's back up again. The Mini F1 sidecars are out for a challenge.
If there's any class that can definitely take on the wind, it's the Mini F1 sidecars. Of course, they run 3 wheels in this class, and you've got 2 riders in it as well, so if you've never seen it before, it's great to behold, so you must stick around for this one. And there's a lot of good riders here this weekend, and we're coming off the back of one of the best races of the entire season. Race number 3 from Lid was embroiled in a fantastic battle between Mick Williams, Jack Coulters and Paul Coulters Jr. all the way down to the final corner. So you can catch that race back on Facebook and on Twitter on Motorsport Radio, and of course FAB-Racing.
And we've got an archive not just of Lid from 2019, but you can catch on all the action from 2019 on the Motorsport Radio website. You can go even further back as well, all the way back to 2017, 2016 on the Motorsport Radio website. Great archive of the FAB-Racing, and if you're interested in more bike racing action, you can check out loads on there. But as the riders make their way onto the grid, Liam Hodgins has got the grid.
And it's Jack Coulters who will be starting off pole position for race number 1 of this weekend's Wilton Mill action in the Mini F1 Sidecars race. With a 58.4, he qualifies in pole, 0.8 of a second ahead of Mick Williams on bike number 26. The championship leader will be starting from 2nd position. Paul Coulters Jr., who missed out on his maiden race win last time out at Lid, will be going off 3rd ahead of the 44, who returns this weekend on the number 44. So the yellow number 44 will be out on track in 4th place. Mark Parker on 230 will be in 5th ahead of Paul Coulters Sr. So there's a lot of Coulters out there on track. The 124, Paul Coulters Sr. will be in 6th ahead of Jason Greenstreet on bike number 90, and 7th on the 4th row of the grid ahead of John Hosker on bike 127, and Adrian Ems, who will be having his wife as his passenger here this weekend on the 76, so check them out. And the all-female team, Tammy Lane on bike number 11, will be going off 10th on the grid. So rounding out the runners and riders for the start of the Mini F1 Sidecars grid.
Well, that is the grid. As you mentioned, the husband and wife team there, I don't think the marriage vows were in Cygnus and in through Mini F1 Sidecar Racing, but
you never know.
You never know. Well, we certainly weren't there to enjoy it, but a few riders giving them the thumbs up, everyone forming up onto the grid. And it's going to be an interesting race in this one. 6 laps, so not the longest race in the world, but loads of sprint racing, action-packed action to come from the Mini F1 sidecars, all lining up. Simon Klaus, who we heard from earlier on in the show, the very start of the show, mentioned about Tammy Lane and their team. We've got one pairing off already. That looks to be the red machine of Mark Parker, the number 230. So we're hearing something going on. We're not quite sure. They're on one knee. I don't think they're proposing to the machine, that's for sure. Probably proposing that it starts working again. I think that's the best advice we can take from that. But the view, well, we don't quite know. The riders are sort of looking away. We just can't quite deduce what's going on. They're sat down, so we're anticipating if they've ever laid down.
Are they protesting against the race star or something?
I mean, so we're not quite sure what's happening because, we're not quite sure. We got the view of the lady pairing on the grid there very briefly. Thank you for joining us on the visual radio stream. If you were aware, and if you're joining us, thank you very much for joining us there, even if you're on the racing. Although the race is about to get underway though, so we're going racing regardless of what happens on the grid. Red lights are on now, revs rise, clutch at the biting point, we go. Good start from Mick Williams heading into turn 1 for the first time. So great start from Mick Williams into the lead of this race. Jack Coulters, Paul Coulters Jr. and Jack Coulters, they are in this race. They're second place side by side for second and third, the number 2 and the number 24. Whoa, Paul Coulters fighting right over the curb. Was there damage on that machine? It shook up quite heavily. The 127 now John Hosker fighting away with Mick Lee, the number 44, looking up the inside. They're going to be coming into the yellow flag zone if they've not been able to move this pairing. Have they moved them out of the way? It seems like they have, so that's them out of this race. Yeah, they aren't on the racing line, so they're out of this race. So my goodness me, almost tipping over the number 24 onto 2 wheels, which you don't want on a Mini F1 sidecar. In all of this action, Mick Williams is getting away with Jack Coulters.
Both Jack and Paul Coulters Jr. giving each other no quarters at all on the racetrack through the early stages of this race. So Mick Williams, your championship leader, leads across the start finish line to complete lap number 1. 3/10 of a second ahead of his championship rival Jack Walters. These two have been embroiled in a fantastic scrap all season long, and on screen here is our all-female team of Tammy Lane on bike number 11 and her passenger. So great to have them out there on circuit at the moment. But back at the front, Mick Williams powers out of the hairpin just ahead of the number 2 of Jack Walters, down towards the double left-hander. It looks like Jack Walters is very good out of this double left-hander through the right and onto the back straight, but Mick Williams has a bit of a gap as he head down towards the third to last corner.
It's the age-old difference of the straight line performance versus that having that raw speed in the corners. Jack Walters has just got the ability to carry that momentum through with the passenger, the number 2. They're working in harmony, as you would hope, in this race. One lap complete. We're about to complete lap 2, so on to lap 3. We've got one rider, 127 John Hosker, pulling off. So a problem for the number 127 of John Hosker there. A shame for John. They have stopped just on the entrance to the paddock, so a couple of machines having a few issues in this race. It's a shame for them. They're furiously thinking about what they can do to get the machine restarted. The number 11 of Tammy Lane is currently heading back into the paddock as well. They're trying to get back into the paddock, but they can't go anywhere because the 127 of John Hosker's stuck and stopped. So a great effort from the all-new, the all-female pairing in that effort. They've been working so hard over the last few rounds to go for it. But action to the front. Mick Williams is still in the lead of this race. Jack Walters, the number 2, in second place, making their way through the final few corners. They're about to get to the halfway stage in this race, and they're almost nose to tail over the line. The gap between the pairing is just 0.3 of a second as they make their way left and right. Turns 1 and 2. Jack Walters has got momentum. They're working hard just to try and close in that gap, but Mick Williams is not having it his own way.
He isn't at all. He's a wily old fox, but this season in 2019 he's been getting pushed all the way by Jack Walters and of course his passenger, so something to fight for, pushing each other along all the way. And with only 2.5 laps remaining, Jack Walters closes the gap ever so slightly through the double left-hander. They'll flick it right. Here we go, onto the back straight. Can Jack Walters power out? Yes, he can, out side by side. And he backs off just to let Mick Williams take the lead once again. So sizing up an opportunity for the last couple of laps maybe. There's only going to be 2 more laps to go as they come through the final corner, shaking from both bikes. Across the start finish line to go, side by side once again. Who will get into turn number 1 in the lead? Jack Walters powers past Mick Williams into the lead of the race number 1. The many F1 sidecars from Wilton Mill, but as they power up to Christmas corner, Mick Williams tries to retaliate but can't do so at the moment.
There's a slight lethargic nature to the number 26 machines. That's Mick Williams. His machine just doesn't seem to be able to get out of the corners. So with a lap and a half to go, this is all still to play for. Jack Walters leads this race. Can they take the victory with that machine? Only time will tell. Into the first of the 2 long left-handers on the infield circuit. This is where Jack Walters and passenger have got an exceptional turn of pace. A little lift from the wheel on the rear left-hand side of the machine has got quite the gap heading into the final few corners, but Mick Williams closes up in the brakes, has a better straight line ability, and as they're about to start the final lap of this race, the first mini F1 sidecar race of the weekend here at Wilton Mill. Last lap, last chance saloon for Mick Williams. Jack Walters leads this race with the new fastest lap on that last lap, but they're side by side heading into Christmas corner for the final time. Could make a late lunge, not quite close enough to do so. They've got the upcoming hairpin, the second hairpin, through a tight section of left and right-handed corners. About to make a move is Mick Williams, has half a go up the inside. Can't make it stick though. Half a lap though, Liam. And Jack Walters in second. He's not in second. The number 2 is leading this race.
Jack Walters looks like he can just get the power down a little bit more than Mick Williams. Mick Williams is really good through the corners.
You had to lift off.
Oh, you did a little bit there, so he didn't tag the back of the number 2. But powering down the back straight, Mick Williams around the outside as Jack Walters, passenger, lifts his arm up. Did he allow him pass? What happened there? But Mick Williams, couple of corners to go. Has Jack Walters run into a bit of an issue? Falling further back. One more corner to go. The number 26 of Mick Williams comes across the start finish line. Checkered flag waves for the race 1 winner. Jack Walters sets up. Was there an issue there for the number 2 of Jack Walters as he sees his championship rival of Mick Williams power past and take the victory on the final lap of the race? Mick Lee, who returns this weekend on the number 44, takes third spot ahead of Paul Qualters Jr., who looked like he had a bit of damage after the collision with Jack Qualters on lap number 1. But once again, a great ride there from your championship leader, Mick Williams.
And if over the end, it was 2.4 seconds was the gap between Williams and Qualters. You couldn't tell about that a lap or so ago. They gave us a wave for the cameras. Thank you, lads. Mick Williams and Passenger, winners of the first race of the Mini F1 sidecars for this weekend. Jack Qualters ahead of Mick Lee for your podium. Paul Qualters Jr. does come home for 4th in the end, but only 0.365 behind. So that was a pretty good battle for the final step on the rostrum. Jason Greenstreet was in 5th ahead of Adrian Ems. John Hosker and Tammy Lane, they had a few troubles over the last few laps. They only completed 1 lap and came back in, but a push there. Getting a push, the number 230 of Mark Parker, who they couldn't get the machine into the start of this race. So Mick Lee very kindly giving them a bit of a push, courtesy of the Passenger putting their foot out. They're going back to the paddock, so great camaraderie and great spirits here at the cool FAB-Racing paddocks. Shows just how close many of these riders and teams are. Often you hear of engine troubles or tyre woes, or happily lend an engine, lend a tyre. It might be fiercely competitive out on circuit, but still that great family spirit here at cool FAB-Racing.
It is indeed. It's such a close-knit community here, as all communities like Cool Fab are, and it's great to be part of. And a big hello to everyone that is tuning in for the first time. And a big hello to everyone that is tuned in once again for round number 6 of the Cool FAB-Racing British Mini Bikes Championship from round number 6 here at Wilton Mill in Daventry. Now you can catch us on Facebook, Cool FAB-Racing, and of course Motorsport Radio on Twitter at Cool FAB-Racing, and on our new Twitter handle at Motorsport Radio. And a big hello to everyone who's tuned in from Motorsport TV for the second weekend running. Hopefully you are enjoying the action as the penultimate race of the day makes their way around on the green flag lap. It's the AC40 rookies, and it's your championship leader Archie Gibbs, who will be leading from pole position 1.7 seconds quicker than Casey Spadey in second position in qualifying on bike number 20. Luke Fitchett, who picked up his maiden race win in race number 3, will be going off third position on the grid ahead of former championship leader Ollie Sims. Joshua Williams on bike number 78, having a strong weekend, will be in 5th ahead of Marco Holt on bike number 58. William Harris on bike number 10 will be in 7th ahead of Brandon Keane on bike 333. Archie O'Brien in 9th ahead of Harry Payne, who rounds out the top 10 on the grid. Thorley Trevorrow will be in 11th on bike number 42. Wilson Dilks is alongside Thorley in 12th position on bike number 85 ahead of the 83, and 13th, unlucky for some but not for Arnie Carr, in 13th. Max Wilson on bike number 33 and 14th, and then Byron Johnson on bike 273 will be in 15th position, row number 8 on the grid. Bailey Lawrence in 16th ahead of Felix Dorling in 7th. Eddie Carter, who's Mini Rossi, will be in 18th ahead of Austin Johnson in 19th. Callum Maxwell in 20th. And then we've got Chloe Sale in 21st, and rounding out the runners and riders and 22nd on the grid is Bethany Ashby.
So it's great to have a few new names to the paddock here this weekend, especially great to have a few new girl racers here with us this weekend. It's great to see the numbers increasing and showing just how diverse the racing action is. Of course, Max Wilson as well back with us this weekend, second weekend here at Cool Fab after his debut last time out at Lydd, and enjoyed it so much, came back. So we'll probably know the circuit quite well from karting exploits. Now over to the big bag world of bike racing. So focused on the top 3 rows. The riders are getting ready to race here at Wilton Mill. Round 6 of the 2019 Cool FAB-Racing British Mini Bike Championships. The official partner series to the BSB on the Motomoto GP. This is the first step in these young riders' careers. They look up to the red lights patiently. We get underway now. It's a good start from the front row. The number 3 of Archie Gibbs makes a great start, heading up towards the first few corners for the first time over the sort of first few corners they come. They've all made it through cleanly so far, so great start by everybody making their way. A big plume of smoke from the two-stroke motors heading into the third and fourth corners for the first time. But Archie Gibbs making a little bit of a loss, with Casey Sperry making it into the lead for the first time this weekend. So Casey is certainly enjoying a good run, even if he didn't have the turn of pace this morning.
It looks like Casey Sperry is definitely built upon the confidence that he got at Leeds when he took his maiden podium position. Leading this race so far is the number 20, not to be mistaken for the number 20 of Fabio Quartararo, who races in MotoGP. Coming through the last two corners of this first lap, it's going to be Casey Sperry who's leading the way ahead of your championship leader, the number 3 of Archie Gibbs. And then it's Luke Fitchett and Ollie Sims in close proximity just behind Casey Sperry through the first couple of corners. Archie Gibbs round the outside of Sperry, power down up towards Christmas Corner. Who will it be? Late on the brakes, Archie Gibbs looks up the inside, but it's going to be Luke Fitchett looks up the inside of Archie Gibbs, not quite doing it just yet. That's Ollie Sims on the 73 and third. Luke Fitchett just behind them. Down towards the hairpin they go, late on the brakes, and these four pulling a bit of a gap ahead of fifth position Marco Holt, who leads Williams, Keane, Payne, O'Brien and Trevorrow rounding out the top 10.
It's a great running order in that top 10, but I've got to mention that Archie Gibbs, there's something not quite right with that bike, you feel, not having a straight line speed that it did this morning. Can't quite keep up with the rest of the field. Maybe it's even the fact the wind's a bit, well, I say that you may be able to hear in your headphones a few pops and bangs from the wind. It's really picking up now, and the battle for the race lead, four Astern making their way over the line once again. It's Sperry, Gibbs, Sims, Fitchett. That's the top 10 once again, but Sims and Fitchett perhaps stretching out a little bit further. Sperry and Gibbs. Casey Sperry will be desperate for that podium position, desperate for that win as they make their way up to Christmas Corner. Up the inside on Ryder's right hand side, Archie Gibbs makes it through back into the racing lead. Going a bit wide, Luke Fitchett wasn't quite sure where Luke was trying to attack that particular corner, but Ollie Sims in third place, Casey Sperry down to second. So order changing slightly as well, but Sperry, Gibbs, Sims, that is the racing order so far. It's a pretty good run with 6 laps left to go, and well, it's certainly a good challenge for the rest of the riders out there as well.
Yes, Ollie Sims is now all over the back of Casey Sperry. Sperry just falling a little bit further down from your championship leader Archie Gibbs. Archie Gibbs, who's took pole position by 1.7 seconds ahead of Casey Sperry. Ollie Sims looked up the inside into the final corner of Sperry, didn't quite make the move stick. Casey Sperry late on the brakes, a sweeping line around the outside, hold second position for the time being. But can Ollie Sims get the run out of the second corner, powering down the back straight? As you mentioned a little bit earlier on, Dan, maybe the wind is having an effect on these small and young riders up towards the top end of the circuit. Christmas Corner is right at the top of the hill, and it's difficult for them to get a run out of turn number 2. But down towards the hairpin they go, and Ollie Sims looking round the outside of Casey Sperry, not doing it just yet, Dan. So a few more laps to go, and he can still make a move at any time he needs.
But it is getting to that halfway stage in the race, so you're going to have to start thinking about it a bit harder and actually go for the move. We say that Sperry runs a little bit deep through the second of the left-handers onto the back straight, side by side. Sperry on the left, Sims on the right. Sperry makes it through into the chicane, but right around the outside goes Ollie Sims. Where did that come from? A great ride there. Archie Gibbs leading this race off and away, but Casey Sperry was caught napping then by Sims. Fitchett follows through, so Sperry, well, it's certainly a big challenge there.
There looked like there was a bit of movement going on between Sperry and his bike heading into the third to last corner there. But Luke Fitchett is looking up the inside into Christmas Corner, gets a great run out of turn 2. Up the inside he goes, pushes Ollie Sims wide. Back comes Ollie Sims through the left-hander. Great result from Ollie Sims, pushing Fitchett wide again. These two have been at it all season long, and of course are continuing on the battle here at Wilton Mill. Round number 6. Can Fitchett look up the inside again into the tight left-hander? No, he can't, but that brings Sperry back into the action. And Fitchett is very quick out of these tight turns, Dan.
very quick out of these tight turns, but there's no replacement for displacement, as a very famous saying once said, and Luke Fitchett putting that to good display up the inside again into second place. An absolute slipstream fest with 3 laps to go, side by side. Sims isn't taking any of it and retakes a place into the penultimate corner, over the line once again. It is 3 laps to go. It's lap 5 now. Archie Gibbs leads this race, new fastest lap, a couple of laps to go, and then Ollie Sims just ahead of Luke Fitchett and Casey Sperry. 3-way fight for second place, once again ducking out of the slipstream for the number 96 rider, Luke Fitchett, into Christmas corner. And there's a rider who stopped out on circuit, I think stopped about a lap or so ago. They're up and okay. Seems to be a technical problem with that machine. We're not sure who that is. We'll get you that information when we can bring it to you. But Archie Gibbs leads this race. Second place, Ollie Sims, only just. Third place, Luke Fitchett, who's really happy with that machine. A slightly slower rider in the race they're going past now, focusing pretty well on that position. But Archie Gibbs, confident and comfortable out front so far, 2.8 seconds ahead.
Yes, only 2 laps remaining for Archie Gibbs. Luke Fitchett looking up the inside of Ollie Sims into the last corner, not doing it yet, just backing off ever so slightly. These two, you feel, will be embroiled in this battle for the remaining 2 laps of this AC40 Rookies race number 1. But Fitchett's a little bit further back compared to where he has been the last couple of laps, powering up to Christmas corner, and late on the brakes they go. And Ollie Sims runs a little bit wide through the right, left, right chicane, and they're going to power down towards the hairpin. Fitchett, this is where he's really quick on the track. He looks up the inside, but that's because they're passing a bag marker at the moment, so just to avoid the bag marker is set up. But Fitchett's right on the back of Sims once again.
And just on screen there was a rider who stopped at that corner. That's why there was a big twitch from Ollie Sims, desperately trying to avoid. The rider's up and okay. Again, a technical problem. We're not quite sure who that is, but the number 8 rider with Bethany Ashby. So great to have Bethany here. Shame about the technical problem with a lap and a half to go, but this is about to start the final lap. Archie Gibbs ahead of this race. 2.2 seconds was the gap over the line for the last time, and about to start the final lap now. So Archie Gibbs, the number 3, leads this race. Sims versus Fitchett, the race-long battle about to come to a crescendo. 2 tenths over the line, that is the race leader, Archie Gibbs, heading into Christmas corner. But the battle for second place still fighting on. Luke Fitchett still thinking about a move on the inside, does go for it in the back of the shot. They're side by side. The number 73 of Ollie Sims not taking it as it comes. He's still second. Luke Fitchett though thinking about a move up the inside into turn number 4. Almost goes for it right onto the curb. Had to hold out, couldn't make it work, and so Ollie Sims for now stays in second place.
These young riders have shown brilliant racecraft even in the youngest category, the AC40 Rookies. Archie Gibbs powering down the back straight for the final time into the third to last corner, goes left into the right, and then powering out from the right-hander down towards the final turn. Who will it be for second? Will it be Sims or Fitchett? But we know who it is for first. Stands up on his foot pegs. Archie Gibbs takes race number 1 here at Wilton Mill. Across our finish line, photo finish between Sims and Fitchett. Only 600 of a second between them. Ollie Sims just holding off the 96 of Luke Fitchett. That is your podium positions. Casey Sperry finished 6.9 seconds behind the race leader, dropping back on the last couple of laps. But as other runners and riders come across our finish line, great battles all the way down at the field. You can see the number 11 comes across the line. Archie Gibbs pulls off towards the edge of the circuit, celebrating his race win from the AC40 Rookies here today. Saturday, Wilton Mill, round number 6, race 1. Archie Gibbs is your race winner ahead of Ollie Sims on bike number 73 in second, holding off a hard charging and very aggressive Luke Fitchett for third position. Casey Sperry just missing out on the podium positions in fourth, and then Joshua Williams running out to the top 5.
And a great run by Marco Holt as well. 6th place ahead of Brandon Keane. Archie O'Brien ahead of Harry Payne and Thorley Trevorrow. That's your top 10. William Harris, Arnie Carr, Max Wilson, Bailey Lawrence, and then Bryton Johnson in the top 15. There are your point scorers. Just ahead of Felix Dorlin and Izzy Carter. Austin Johnson, Callum Maxwell and Chloe Sewell, your top 20, with a few problems for Bethany Ashby and Wilson Dilts. But what a fantastic race between Ollie Sims and Luke Fitch. It's so close over the line. What exciting stuff. And we've got 2 more races to go for them tomorrow, so please do join us tomorrow for yet more action. But thank you for joining us right now here on the Motorsport Radio website, on the Cool FAB-Racing website, and on the Motorsport TV website as well. Thank you for joining us. This is live coverage of round 6 of the 2019 Cool FAB-Racing British Mini Bike Championships. And the official partner to the Bennett's British Superbike Championship. On the road to MotoGP, many of these young riders will do the same as Brad Ray, Danny Kent, Scott Redding, Luke Mossey, many contemporary riders in national racing, international racing. And as we head now to the final race of the weekend, many of the members in the paddock giving us a big thumbs up, family members, friends, and the team members as well, as the bikes head out on to the grid. The final race of the Saturday, the first set of races. We've got 2 more sets of races to come tomorrow, and it's the premier class of the Cool FAB-Racing paddocks. This is the Mini GP70s. Mini GP70s head out onto circuit. The final race of Saturday and the final race of the first set of races. The premier class of Cool Fab head out to the grid. Round 6 of the 2019 Cool FAB-Racing British Mini Bike Championships. The official partner series to the Bennett's British Superbike Championship. The road to MotoGP riders as well. We'll see a few of these in racing in years to come, but the grid, it's with Liam Hodgins. It will look something like this.
Yes, lots of young riders packed full with talent we might see in the BTC in the coming years. Evan Belford, your championship leader, will lead off the grid in first position after snatching pole position away from Bailey Stewart Campbell, who will start second in this first race here at Wilton Mill, the Mini GP70s. The 114 of Eddie O'Shea will be on row number 2 in third position ahead of Ryan Hitchcock on bike number 43. Johnny Garnett, putting in a strong result in qualifying, will be starting in 5th ahead of the 48 of Ollie Walker. James Cook, number 44, will be in 7th on row number 40. Kyle Payne, number 25, will be in 8th position on the grid ahead of the 130 of Owen Mellor. Rounding out the top 10 is Thomas Gomez, just ahead of Alfie Davidson in 11th place on bike number 8. 6th row on the grid, Dylan Miller will be in 12th on the bike number 31 ahead of the returning Finn Smart on bike number 14. Harrison Crosby on bike number 69 will be in 14th ahead of the 37 of Carter Brown. Joe Farragher on bike number 47 is ahead of Saffron Watley. Harrison McKee on bike number 61 in 18th. Rossi Brown on 81 and 19th, and rounding out the runners and riders for the start of the Mini GP70s. Race number 1 from Wilton Mill here in Daventry is Jamie Woodcock.
As the riders ready for the race start, the sun's blazing over 20 degrees, the wind pushing the riders slightly, heading towards turns 1 and 2, and the riders then look towards the red lights. So there are a few marshals just making sure everyone is in their right positions. The revs rise, the clutches get to biting points. They look towards the red light for the final time on Saturday. Race 1 for the Mini GP70s is about to get underway. The red lights are on now, and as they wait patiently, it's go, go, go for the final race of Saturday. Bailey Stewart Campbell makes a great start off the front row of the grid, but Evan Belford leads, heading through the first few corners up towards Christmas corner for the first time out of 12. Great start from Bailey Stewart Campbell, another good start as well from the number 43 of Ryan Hitchcock. Side by side for the race lead into turn number 4. Late move out the inside, but Evan Belford holds up. A real favourite of his is this course, the number 52 rider, and through the first of 2 left-handers It's Bailey Stewart Campbell in second, Ryan Hitchcock third, Eddie O'Shea, British Talent Cup rider already, one of our affiliated riders with the Road to MotoGP, well up there. But Johnny Garnes enjoying a great run so far as well. 1, 2, 3, 4 riders fighting for the lead of this race. They head over the line for the first time out of 12. Well, the pressure's on. Belfort, Stewart Campbell, Hitchcock, Garnes, that's your top 4. O'Shea, Walker, Cook, Mellor, Gomez and Davidson, that is your top 10. Harrison Crosby though with a bit of a problem on that lap though, Liam.
Yeah, it looked like he was looking down at his gear lever, not too sure if maybe he's missing a gear or maybe the linkage has come undone. So it's a disastrous start there from the 69 of Crosby, but it's the local boy that we've got to look out for in second. Bailey Stewart Campbell is looking for his first race win of the season, and although he's been setting lots of fastest laps and lap records, that first win still elusive. But can he do it right now? This top 2 are pulling away from third and fourth. Round the outside is looking on Evan Belfort. Belfort just taking a defensive line into the third to last corner. Ryan Hitchcock in third. Eddie O'Shea is closed onto the back of these top 4, right on the back of Johnny Garnes now as they start lap number 3. Eddie O'Shea on the 114. We know he's a bit of a fan of Maverick from Top Gun. He is a bit of a Maverick, fighting his way through the field, but as he power up towards Christmas Corner, late on the brakes for Stewart Campbell, nearly tags the back of Belfort there, just has to set up. Ryan Hitchcock has lost a place to Johnny Garnes. Johnny Garnes up to third position there. Looked like he went round the outside. This is leaving an opportunity for the green bike of Eddie O'Shea.
The number 114 looks left, right around the outside, couldn't make the move stick, but that has ensured that the top 2 are the top 2. They managed to storm away a little bit with Evan Belfort at the head of the race. Stewart Campbell still second. Third, fourth and fifth, as you mentioned, Garnes, Hitchcock, O'Shea. They're fighting pretty handily for themselves. And Bailey Stewart Campbell, 1 or 2 pull-ups on the bike trying to wheelie out of the penultimate corner. Not too sure why that is. Maybe going over bump, which is just unsettling the front. But Evan Belfort, the master of just holding on to a race, setting the pace, setting the order. And as we say that, the order changes again. Eddie O'Shea up to 4th place, Ryan Hitchcock down to 5th. I made a great start, but maybe not having too much race pace at the moment in this first race. Be assured though that Ryan will come back fighting in the next few races, but we've still got 9 laps to go. It's not like it's set in stone for now. Belfort and Stewart Campbell, Garnes, O'Shea, Hitchcock, that's your top 5, followed by Ollie Walker and James Cook.
There's a change for the lead.
Change for the lead. Bailey Stewart Campbell is ahead. Must have happened through the 2 left-handed corners, but snuck through without us noticing. Must have snuck through without Evan Belfort noticing too much as well. Down to 2nd place, but he is not going to be sitting there for too long. The 2 race leaders pushing each other as much as they can. Bailey Stewart Campbell having a great one here last season. Johnny Garnes fighting for 3rd place still, the number 57 defending into turns 1 and 2. But Bailey Stewart Campbell just a little bit of a gap, the smallest hint that all is well aboard the number 99 machine. Eddie O'Shea as well, Liam, fighting hard.
Got to draw your attention to 7th spot, James Cook, who's 34 points behind Evan Belfort. Second in the championship, is struggling so far in this first race. 7th spot just behind Ollie Walker and ahead of a fantastic Owen Mellor on bike 130. Thomas Gomez in 9th ahead of the 8, Alfie Davidson. Dylan Miller is just outside the top 10 in 11th. Finn Smart has gained a position off the start. He's now 12th ahead of Carter Brown, Joe Fadiger, and Saffron Watley is rounding out the top 15. The point scorers for the moment ahead of Harrison McKay, Rossi Brown, Jamie Woodcock, Harrison Crosby, who had a bit of an issue at the start, and Kyle Payne, who looks like he's not taken his grid position, so he's not started this race. But battle for third continues. Eddie O'Shea looking up the side of Johnny Garnes. A little bit of a moment there from O'Shea's, went from right to left there. This opens the door for Hitchcock. He's not doing it just at the moment, but once again as we head down towards the hairpin with only 7 laps remaining, Garnes still in third, but really holding off a hard charging Eddie O'Shea.
Oh, not just holding up a hard-charging Eddie O'Shea. Evan Belfort sets the new track record for the Mini GP70s in this session of 50.314. Has got nearly 6 tenths quicker than Casey O'Gorman's record from last season. A 50.902 was Casey O'Gorman's fastest, and a 50.314. 50.314 is Evan Belfort's new track record. Bailey Stewart Campbell though has got to soak that up because he's still leading this race. Battle for third, Eddie O'Shea still within the mix.
And look at the lap times. There must have been a bit of a, it looks like Bailey Stewart-Campbell has a big gap over Evan Belford. Not sure what's happened to Belford. Belford's lost about a second and a half to Bailey Stewart-Campbell, so not sure if he's been tagged up with the back marker. Johnny Garnett pushes back marker wide, so Bailey Stewart-Campbell with a good sizable advantage for this race at the moment.
Well, Bailey Stewart-Campbell is leading this race. Evan Belford, the one with the new track record in this race. Garnett still withholding pressure. One of the riders just having a slight moment, rejoining now. Rider is okay and back into the race, so don't think I was crashed, just a technical problem. Touch wood, we've not had too many crashes today. Maybe the heat playing a bit of tricks with some of our bikes out there. Eddie O'Shea looking left, looking right on the back of Johnny Garnett. He's fighting tooth and nail, but Garnett really enjoying the Mini GP 70s and really learning a lot. A bit deep into turn number 4, the second hairpin, not quite the great move he needs, but it is 50.314, the track record set by Evan Belford just a few laps ago, but a 52.2 for Evan Belford. Is there a problem with that machine? He's going much slower than the rest of the field. Bailey Stewart-Campbell walking away with this.
Maybe a problem for Belford, but it looked like a problem for Hitchcock. It looked like he lost the front going through the left-hander, sat the bike back up and looked over his shoulder to realise that he's got a bit of a gap behind him to Ollie Walker. So maybe just settling for 5th will be good for the number 43 of Hitchcock. Belford, a couple of tenths faster that last lap, a 50.3 on-lap record pace. Bailey Stewart-Campbell a 50.5, so 1.4 seconds covers the top two with 3.5 laps remaining of the Mini GP70s. Race number 1, Johnny Garnett is still holding off Eddie O'Shea valiantly for 3rd position at the moment, but further down the order, Ryan Hitchcock is still in 5th ahead of Ollie Walker, James Cook, Thomas Gomez, Alfie Davidson and 9th. Owen Mellor just ahead of his brother Dylan for the top 10 positions there. Finn Smart in 12th, then Carter Brown ahead of Joe Fadiger, and Saffron Watley, who's in the points position at the moment on bike number 178, putting in a great ride.
Another great ride from Saf Watley indeed. She's been working so hard over the course of the season. Evan Belford in 2nd, but Bailey Stewart-Campbell is leading this race. 2.5 laps to go. The gap extended on that last one by about a couple of tenths. It's 1.691, the gap between the two race leaders. And Johnny Garnett actually still got about 2 tenths ahead of Eddie O'Shea and Saf Watley aboard the 178. Fighting with Joe Farragut. It wasn't too close a few laps ago. Over the line now though, and he's much closer. Joe Farragut making a bit of a mistake on that last lap. I think he lost a few good tenths indeed. 3 laps to go. Stewart-Campbell is your race leader. 2 laps to go. Stewart-Campbell still your race leader. Gap extends. 1.728 is the gap between Stewart-Campbell and Belford. Garnett and O'Shea still 0.1 of a second. They are absolutely nose to tail, still fighting away for that final spot on the rostrum, and it's still confirmation. Evan Belford in P2, who is the new track record. He is P1 with the track record though, 50.314. Great result there from Evan, who's going to be taking that with a bit of pride, but might lose a bit of pride out losing this race to Bailey Stewart-Campbell. Touch wood, 1 lap to go. Bailey Stewart-Campbell is your race leader at the final lap mark.
Bailey Stewart-Campbell is renowned for taking the circuit records so far this season in the Mini GP70s and the FAB-Racing British Mini Bikes Championship, but the number 99 rider comes through the second corner, powering up towards Christmas Corner. He is on course to take the race win at his home circuit in Wilton Mill. Only a few more corners remaining for the number 99 rider. His hero is Jorge Lorenzo, and he'll be doing Jorge Lorenzo proud with this ride out front. Evan Belford, after a mistake a few laps ago, 2.5 seconds further back. But the battle for 3rd position between Garnett and O'Shea is still raging on, only 2 tenths covering the battle for the final podium position. Can Garnett pick up his 3rd podium of the year, or will O'Shea nick it on the last lap? But 3 corners to go. Left corner and to the right for Bailey Stewart-Campbell. Powers down towards the final corner. The number 99, the blue, black and orange wheeled bike across the start finish line, takes the checker flag. He takes his first win of the season. Great ride there from the youngster. Championship leader Evan Belford couldn't get close enough, finishes the second, and Garnes O'Shea as close as you like. A couple of tenths between them. Garnes on 57 holds off Eddie O'Shea for third position. O'Shea has to settle for fourth, and Ollie Walker picks up fifth position on the last couple of laps ahead of Ryan Hitchcock.
So Ryan Hitchcock, not the greatest of races for the number 43 rider, but a great fist pump. Real proud of himself. The number 99 rider, Bailey Stewart Campbell, is your race winner. The number 52 of Evan Belford set the new fastest lap and the new track record here at Wilton Mill, a 50.314, as some consolation between the pair. Jumping up and down on the bike though, Bailey is very proud of himself. Third place is Johnny Garnes, fourth is Eddie O'Shea. That was separated by just 0.2 of a second over the line. And then it was Ollie Walker ahead of Ryan Hitchcock. James Cook and Thomas Gomez are ahead of the Mellors. Owen ahead of Dylan. And that's your top 10. Finn Smart returning to the track is in 11th place ahead of Carter Brown. Seth Watley made a great late race surge ahead of Joe Farragher and Harrison McKay. Alfie Davidson in 16th, the first of the riders out of the points, ahead of Rossi Brown, Jamie Woodcock and Harrison Crosby. Kyle Payne unfortunately not taking part in this race, but what a fantastic demonstration from our riders, and certainly couldn't be prouder. Bailey Stewart Campbell is the nearest winner in the Mini GP50s, the premier category in the cool FAB-Racing paddocks. But thank you very much for joining us. That was a fantastic race here, the first of 3 great races this weekend for the Mini GP70s. Liam, just summarise that very quickly for us.
A fantastic race for Bailey Stewart Campbell, picking up his first victory of the season. It's his home circuit, and we spoke to him yesterday, and he was just so giddy with excitement about racing around here. But you could sense there was a bit of pressure to pick up that first win, and he's done it. The monkey's off the back. He's been building as the season has gone on, and he's finally taken that race win. So it's going to be great for him for the rest of the season, and we know he's going off to the British Talent Cup along with the likes of Evan Belford, James Cook and many of the other riders for next season. Evan Belford extending his championship lead. He's putting one hand on the championship trophy now. Over the last few rounds he's just been building it up. We talked about consistency earlier on. If you think about the points more than going out for race wins, maybe Evan Belford's doing that, because Eddie O'Shea finished in 4th, James Cook finished in 7th, so he's picked big points up over those two. But a great battle once again for third spot between Johnny Garnes and Eddie O'Shea. The Mini GP70s, they just provide lots of action, and you can really see that these riders are getting put into the professional light and going on to do great things later on in life.
Well, as the official partner series to the Bennett's British Superbike Championship on the road to MotoGP, that was a great display of what these riders are going to be going on to in the seasons to come, with the likes of Brad Ray here this weekend, BSB race winner, and the likes of Danny Kent, Scott Renning, many riders going on to great success internationally and nationally. But that summarises our day really, and that's just the first set of 3 fantastic races to come here from Wilton Mill in Daventry. Round 6 of the 2019 Cool FAB-Racing British Mini Bike Championships. A great thank you to all of the marshals, all of the medics, and to Race Control, who you'll be able to see on screen if you're tuned in to our visual radio stream. Many of you guys, we couldn't go racing without you guys in the medical side, and of course marshals and Race Control. So thank you very much for joining us on the Cool FAB-Racing website, on the Motorsport Radio website, and on motorsport.tv. We hope you enjoyed the action. You can head over to Motorsport Radio to find archives not just from 2019 but last year, 2018, 2017, even 2016. Go and catch up on all of the great racing action from the seasons gone by. But that's not it. That's just it for Saturday. We need a bit of a breather and a bit of a calm down after that, but we've got 2 more sets of fantastic races to come here this weekend tomorrow. So from Liam Hodgins and Dan Marr, thank you very much for joining us, and until tomorrow, it's goodbye from me.
FAB-Racing, the official BSB partner series, and on the road to MotoGP.